Mrs. Patricia Hartwell's heel connected with Maya Thompson's ribs with a sickening thud. The 16-year-old black girl crumpled to the classroom floor, gasping for air, clutching her side as pain exploded through her body. "You filthy little liar!" the teacher screamed, her face twisted with decades of hidden hatred. "People like you are the rot in this country. Go back to your ghetto. This school isn't for you." Maya lay there, tears streaming down her face, the torn pieces of her mother's photograph scattered around her like broken dreams. She had only wanted to tell the truth about her hero, her mother, a Navy SEAL commander. But in this moment, curled on the cold tile floor of room 214, Maya had no idea that her imaginary mother was about to descend from the sky in a military helicopter and make every single person at Oakwood Academy wish they had never crossed her path. Are you watching this on your phone, tablet, or TV? Stay with us until the very end. Hit subscribe and drop a comment telling us what city you're watching from. We want to see just how far this story travels. 3 days before that satisfying moment changed everything, Maya Thompson walked into advanced American history with her head held high and her essay clutched against her chest. She had spent the entire weekend writing it. Every word chosen with care, every sentence polished until it shone. This was not just an assignment. This was her mother's story, her family's honor, her truth. Mrs. Patricia Hartwell stood at the front of the classroom. She touched the Blue Star Mother pin on her lapel and surveyed her students. "Good morning, class. Today we begin presentations for our family hero essay. I trust you all followed the instructions. Real heroes, real stories, no fiction." Her eyes landed on Maya and stayed there. Maya felt the familiar heat rise to her cheeks. 3 years at Oakwood Academy had taught her to recognize that look. You don't belong here. You never will. Tyler Whitmore leaned back in his seat. His father was Councilman Richard Whitmore, the most powerful man in the county. Tyler had never faced a consequence in his life. "Hey, Maya," he whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "What's your essay about your mom's career at McDonald's?" Laughter rippled through the rows. Maya gripped her paper tighter, but said nothing. Mrs. Hartwell smiled thinly. "Let's begin. Maya Thompson, you're first on my list." Of course she was. Maya walked to the front of the room. She turned to face her classmates. She took a deep breath. "My essay is called My Hero, and it's about my mother, Commander Denise Thompson." Tyler rolled his eyes. Mrs. Hartwell's fingers tightened around her red pen. "My mother is a United States Navy SEAL," Maya continued. "She commands SEAL Team 6. For most of my life, I didn't know exactly what she did. I just knew she was gone a lot. I knew she came home sometimes with new scars. I knew she woke up screaming from nightmares she would never explain." The classroom had gone quiet. Not the respectful quiet of students listening. The dangerous quiet of sharks circling. "My mother has served this country in places I'll probably never know about. She's saved lives. She's risked her own. She's done things that most people think only men can do, and she's done them better than almost anyone." Tyler snorted loudly. "Yeah, right." Mrs. Hartwell held up her hand. "Let her finish, Tyler. This is interesting." Maya pushed forward. "My mother taught me that being a hero isn't about what you look like or where you come from. It's about what you do when everything is hard, when everyone says you can't, when the whole world wants you to quit." She looked directly at Mrs. Hartwell. "That's why she's my hero, because she never quit, no matter what anyone said." Silence. Then Tyler started clapping slowly, mockingly. "Great story. Really. Very creative. Did you get it from a movie?" "It's not a story," Maya said. "It's the truth." Mrs. Hartwell set down her pen. "Maya, dear, I gave very specific instructions for this assignment. Real heroes. Real people. Your mother, if I recall correctly, is listed on your school records as a government employee. That's quite different from a Navy SEAL commander. That's because her work is classified. She can't. Classified, Mrs. Hartwell interrupted. How convenient. A classified mother doing classified things. No proof required. Just trust the black girl's imagination. I'm not lying. Honey, Mrs. Hartwell stood up. I've been teaching for 30 years. Do you know how many students I've seen come through this classroom with elaborate fantasies about their families? Children from difficult backgrounds often create stories to make themselves feel better. It's a defense mechanism, I understand. My background isn't difficult. My mother is a Navy SEAL. Miss Hartwell walked slowly toward Maya. Navy SEALs don't accept women in combat roles. Everyone knows that. And even if they did... She paused. Even if they did what Maya demanded. Mrs. Hartwell leaned in close. Her voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried to every corner of the room. Girls like you need to stick to realistic dreams, Maya. There's no shame in having a mother who works a normal job. But making up fairy tales about Navy SEALs, that's not just a lie. That's an insult to real military families. She touched her Blue Star mother pin. My son served in the Army. He earned his honor. He didn't invent it. Maya's hands were shaking now. Not with fear, with rage. I have proof. I can show you. Proof. Of course you do. Let me guess. A photograph. A medal. Something you found online or bought at a surplus store. A challenge coin. From SEAL Team 6. My mother earned it. Tyler jumped up. Oh, this I gotta see. Come on, Maya. Show us your little prop. Mrs. Hartwell smiled. Go ahead, Maya. Show us your proof. Maya reached into her bag with trembling fingers. She had brought the coin specifically because she knew this might happen. She had hoped it wouldn't, but she had prepared. The bronze coin glinted in the fluorescent light. The golden trident of the SEALs caught every eye in the room. For one moment, one brief and beautiful moment, Maya thought she saw doubt flicker across Mrs. Hartwell's face. Then Tyler laughed. eBay special, I've seen those online for $20. The spell broke. The class erupted. Stolen valor. Her mom's probably in prison. No wonder she has to make stuff up. Maya's voice rose above the noise. This is real. My mother earned this. Mrs. Hartwell snatched the essay from Maya's hands. She looked at the title page at the word hero, written in Maya's careful handwriting. Then she picked up her red pen. The scratch of ink against paper seemed impossibly loud. Hartwell turned the paper around so the whole class could see what she had written. A single word slashed across Maya's work in brutal crimson letters. Liar. Let this be a lesson to everyone. In my classroom we deal in facts, not fantasies, not fairy tales, and certainly not lies. Maya stood frozen, staring at that red word, that accusation, that brand. Return to your seat, and tomorrow bring me something real, even if it's embarrassing, even if it hurts. The truth is always better than a lie, Maya. Remember that. Maya walked back to her desk in a daze. She could hear the whispers, the giggles. She could feel Tyler's eyes on her. She sat down and stared at her hands, fighting back tears with everything she had. She would not cry in front of them. She would not give them that victory. The bell rang. Students began filing out. Maya didn't move. Mrs. Hartwell paused at Maya's desk on her way out. I hope this was a learning experience for you, dear. In the real world, people like me don't just take your word for things. We require proof. And without it, well, you're just another girl making up stories. She walked away. Maya's fingernails dug into her palms hard enough to leave marks. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. Something she had said years ago when Maya came home crying because kids at her old school had called her names. Baby girl, there are always going to be people who try to make you small, who want you to doubt yourself, who need you to fail so they can feel better about their own pathetic lives. Your job isn't to convince them you're worthy. Your job is to know it yourself. And then show them. Not with words, with actions, with truth, with strength they can't deny. Maya lifted her head. Her eyes were dry. Her jaw was set. Under her breath, she whispered a promise only she could hear. I will show you who my mother is. I will show you all. The video had spread before Maya even left the building. Tyler's phone had captured everything. The essay, the coin, the word liar in screaming red letters. Instagram before lunch, Snapchat before third period, TikTok before the final bell. Hashtag Valor Girl was trending at Oakwood Academy. Maya got her lunch tray and looked for somewhere to sit. Every table bristled with hostile eyes. Whispers followed her like shadows. That's her. The one who said her mom's a seal. Pathetic. My dad says stolen valor is actually illegal. Maybe she'll get arrested. Maya found an empty corner and sat with her back to the wall. A tactical position. Her mother had taught her that. Always know your exits. Always watch the threat. The threat came quickly. Tyler Whitmore sauntered over with his usual pack of followers. Basketball players. Football heroes. The sons and daughters of Oakwood's finest families. They surrounded Maya's table. Hey, Valor Girl. Tyler grinned down at her. Where's your super-secret SEAL mom today? On a mission to save the world. Maya kept her eyes on her food. Leave me alone, Tyler. I'm just curious. If your mom's so important, how come she never shows up to anything? No parent-teacher conferences, no games, no plays. It's almost like... He pretended to think. She doesn't exist. She travels for work. Sure she does. Tyler reached across and picked up Maya's milk carton. My dad's on the school board, you know. He checked your records. Your mom's employer is listed as Federal Government Unspecified. That could mean anything. Post office, DMV, janitor at the Pentagon. His friends laughed. Not everyone brags about their family's job, Maya said quietly. Tyler's smile sharpened. No, but everyone who makes up lies about their family does it for attention. That's what my dad says. Kids from broken homes, bad neighborhoods, you know they need to feel special somehow, so they make up stories. I'm not from a broken home. Right. Your dad's dead, your mom's never around, and you live with your grandmother in that little house on Maple Street. Real stable situation you've got there. Maya's hands tightened on her fork. Don't talk about my family. Or what? You'll have your imaginary Navy SEAL mom come beat me up. Tyler looked around at his audience. I would actually pay money to see that. Some random black lady showing up pretending to be G.I. Jane. The laughter was louder now. Crueler. Maya stood up abruptly. My mother has done more for this country than your entire family ever will. Your dad's a politician who's never risked anything except his poll numbers. My mom risks her life, every single day, for people like you who will never know her name or thank her for her service. The cafeteria had gone quiet. Tyler's smile froze. Something flickered in his eyes. Embarrassment. Or anger. Either way, it was dangerous. Prove it, he said. I don't have to prove anything to you. Because you can't. He pulled out his phone and started recording. Say it again. Say your mom's a Navy SEAL. On camera. Let's see how brave you are when the whole world can watch you lie. Maya stared at the phone. At her own face reflected in its dark screen. At the dozens of other phones that had materialized around her. Her mother's voice again. Never let them see you doubt yourself. Not even for a second. Doubt is blood in the water, baby girl. Sharks can smell it from miles away. My mother, Maya said clearly, is Commander Denise Thompson of the United States Navy. She has served in SEAL Team 6 for 12 years. She has received the Bronze Star, the Silver Star, and the Navy Cross. She is the bravest person I have ever known. And nothing you say, nothing you do, nothing you record and post and share will ever change that. She picked up her challenge coin and held it up to Tyler's camera. This is real. She is real. And someday when you grow up enough to realize what honor actually means, you're going to remember this moment and be ashamed." She grabbed her backpack and walked out of the cafeteria with her head held high. Behind her, the noise erupted. Laughter and shouts and the rapid-fire clicks of social media sharing. She didn't look back. She made it to the bathroom before the tears came. But Maya wasn't the only one hiding pain that day. In the boys' locker room, Tyler Whitmore sat alone on a bench. His hands were shaking. He reached into his gym bag and pulled out an orange prescription bottle. He shook 2 pills into his palm and swallowed them dry. His phone buzzed. A text from his father. "Saw the video. Good job putting that girl in her place. Whitmore men don't let anyone challenge them. Proud of you, son." Tyler stared at the message. Proud of you. 3 words his father had never said to his face, only through texts. Only when Tyler did something cruel. Only when Tyler proved he was worthy of the Whitmore name by tearing someone else down. He thought about Maya's face when she held up that coin. The absolute certainty in her eyes. The way she didn't flinch, even when the whole cafeteria turned against her. For a moment, just a moment, Tyler wondered what it would feel like to believe in something that much. Then he pushed the thought away, swallowed another pill, and went back to being the person his father expected him to be. The next morning, Maya found her locker had been decorated overnight. Someone had taped a picture of a woman in a cheap Halloween costume labeled "Maya's Mom Super Seal." Red spray paint covered the metal door with 2 words, "Hood Rat." Maya stood there for a long moment staring at the vandalism. Pretty rough. She turned to find Mr. Harold Jenkins, the school janitor, standing behind her with his mop and bucket. He was 70 years old, black, with a face carved by decades of hard work and quiet dignity. "Yes, sir, it is." "You want me to clean that up?" "They'll just do it again." Mr. Jenkins nodded slowly. "Probably true." He looked at the graffiti, then at Maya. "That thing they wrote there. That's not what I see when I look at you." "What do you see?" "I see a young lady who says good morning to me every day. Only student in this whole school who does." He leaned on his mop handle. "I also see a young lady who's telling the truth and getting called a liar for it. That's a hard place to be." Maya blinked. "How do you know I'm telling the truth?" Mr. Jenkins smiled. "I did 2 tours in Vietnam. Marines. You know what I learned over there? How to recognize the children of warriors. Something in the eyes. The way they hold themselves. The way they fight even when they're outnumbered." He tapped his chest. "You got that, young lady. Whoever your mama is, she taught you well." Maya felt fresh tears threatening. "They don't believe me." "They don't want to believe you. That's different." Mr. Jenkins started pushing his mop toward the locker. "Go on to class. I'll take care of this mess." "But Maya," she paused. "Don't let them win. Whatever happens this week, you remember who you are. You remember who raised you, and you hold on to that coin." He turned his back and started scrubbing. "Thank you, Mr. Jenkins." He didn't turn around. "Just Harold, and thank me by proving them all wrong." Maya walked away, not knowing that Mr. Jenkins had just pulled out a small camera from his coat pocket. Not knowing that the old janitor had been documenting every act of vandalism, every cruel word written on that locker for the past 3 days. Not knowing that Harold Jenkins had secrets of his own and a plan to help her. Because Harold Jenkins had recognized something in Maya Thompson that no one else at Oakwood Academy could see. The bearing of a warrior's daughter, and warriors protect their own. Mrs. Hartwell was waiting. Maya walked into room 214 5 minutes before the bell, wanting to get settled before the other students arrived. But the teacher was already there, staring at her computer screen. "Ah, Maya. Come here, please." Maya approached slowly. "Yes, ma'am." "I've been doing some research about your mother, Denise Thompson, government employee. I made some calls." Maya's heart began to pound. "You had no right. I have every right. I'm responsible for the truth in my classroom." Mrs. Hartwell turned her screen so Maya could see it. The Department of Defense has no record of a Commander Denise Thompson in any SEAL unit. No record at all, actually. Interesting, isn't it? Her work is classified. So you keep saying. Mrs. Hartwell leaned back. I also called the number listed as your mother's emergency contact. Do you know what I got? A voicemail. A generic voicemail that doesn't even give a name. I've tried 6 times. No response. Maya's mouth went dry. She knew that voicemail. Knew it was designed to reveal nothing. Knew it was part of her mother's operational security. But how could she explain that to someone who had already decided she was a liar? My mother doesn't answer calls from unknown numbers. For security reasons. Security reasons. Mrs. Hartwell repeated the phrase like a punchline. Maya, I'm going to give you one more chance. Admit that you made this up. Apologize to the class. Do the assignment correctly. And we can put this whole unpleasant business behind us. I won't apologize for telling the truth. Mrs. Hartwell's expression hardened. Then you leave me no choice. I'm going to report my concerns to Principal Crawford. If your mother really is who you say she is, she can come in and prove it. If not, she spread her hands. There will be consequences for lying. Serious consequences. Maya's voice came out stronger than she felt. Call her. I want you to call her. I want her to come here and show you exactly who she is. Oh, I intend to. Mrs. Hartwell smiled, and there was something eager in it. Something hungry. I'm quite looking forward to meeting your Navy SEAL mother. I imagine it will be educational for everyone. The bell rang. Students began filing in. Go sit down, Maya, and think about what I said. Truth or consequences. Your choice. Maya walked to her seat. She should have felt afraid. Instead, she felt something else entirely. Relief. Let them call her mother. Let them demand proof. Let them think they were setting a trap. They had no idea who they were inviting into their perfect little world. No idea at all. But Maya didn't know that across the hallway another student had been listening at the door. Jessica Palmer. Straight A student. Daughter of a Marine Corps colonel. She had heard every word. And she knew something that Maya didn't. Jessica's father had served with a Commander Denise Thompson, had told stories about her at dinner, had called her the most dangerous woman he had ever met. Jessica pulled out her phone. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she put it away. She wasn't brave enough. Not yet. But she filed the information away for later. Because something told her that Maya Thompson was about to need all the allies she could get. The teacher's lounge buzzed with gossip during lunch period. Mrs. Hartwell held court at the center table, her coffee cup raised like a scepter. You should have seen her face, she said to the gathered teachers. Standing there with her little prop coin, actually expecting us to believe her mother is some kind of secret military hero. The delusion is almost sad. Mr. Patterson, the math teacher, shifted uncomfortably. Patricia, are you sure about this? Making such public accusations against a student. Accusations. I'm simply demanding proof. If her mother is who she claims to be, she can easily verify it. If not... Mrs. Hartwell shrugged. Then we've exposed a liar and taught the whole school a valuable lesson about integrity. But the vandalism on her locker, Mr. Patterson pressed. The bullying. Don't you think we should... Children police their own. Mrs. Hartwell interrupted. If Maya had told the truth from the beginning, none of this would be happening. She brought this on herself. Miss Chen, the young art teacher, spoke up quietly. I had red paint spilled on Maya in my class yesterday. The students said it was an accident, but I saw their faces. They were laughing. And your point is... My point is that a student is being harassed and we're doing nothing to stop it. Mrs. Hartwell set down her coffee cup with a sharp click. Miss Chen, how long have you been teaching 2 years 3? Let me give you some advice. Students like Maya Thompson come and go. They bring drama and disruption wherever they go. The best thing we can do is let nature take its course. Eventually, she'll transfer out or drop out, and Oakwood will return to normal. That's a terrible thing to say. That's reality. Mrs. Hartwell stood up. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have calls to make. I've requested a meeting with Principal Crawford to discuss Maya's continued enrollment. By the end of this week, I expect this whole situation to be resolved. She walked out. Miss Chen looked at Mr. Patterson. We can't just let this happen. Mr. Patterson sighed and looked away. Patricia Hartwell has been at this school for 30 years. Her husband is on the board of trustees. Her son was a war hero, or at least that's the story she tells. No one crosses her. Someone should. Be my guest, but don't expect any backup. Miss Chen sat alone at the table thinking about the girl with the challenge coin, the girl who had looked Mrs. Hartwell in the eye and refused to back down. Maybe Miss Chen thought someone at this school still had courage. She just hoped it would be enough. That night, Maya sat in her grandmother's kitchen holding her phone in trembling hands. The texts had been non-stop since school ended. Screenshots of her cafeteria speech. Memes with her face photoshopped onto ridiculous images. Comments calling her every name imaginable. But it was the last message that broke her. It was from Tyler. 3 words. Kill yourself, liar. Maya stared at those words until they blurred. Her grandmother Martha came in from the living room. 80 years old, gray-haired with hands that had worked hard every day of her life. She saw Maya's face and immediately sat down beside her. Baby, what's wrong? Maya couldn't speak. She just handed over the phone. Martha's expression changed as she read. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes went hard. For a moment, she looked exactly like her daughter, Commander Denise Thompson. This boy, who is he? Tyler Whitmore, Councilman Whitmore's son. I see. Martha set the phone down carefully. And the school. What are they doing about this? They think I'm lying about Mom. They want her to come prove she's real. Martha was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached over and took Maya's hands in her own. Your mother called me today. Did you know that? Maya shook her head. She monitors your phone. Security, she says. Make sure you're safe. Martha squeezed her hands. She heard what happened in the cafeteria. She heard that teacher call you a liar. She heard everything. Maya's eyes widened. Is she coming? Martha smiled. It was not a gentle smile. It was the smile of a woman who had raised a warrior and watched that warrior raise another. Baby girl, you remember when you were little and those boys at the park pushed you off the swings. Remember what your mama did? Maya nodded slowly. She talked to them. They never bothered me again. Talk to them. Martha chuckled. That's one way to put it. She explained to them very clearly what would happen if they ever touched you again. And they believed her. Because when your mother makes a promise, she keeps it. What's she going to do? I don't know exactly. Martha's eyes sparkled with something fierce. But I know this. Those people at your school think they're dealing with a poor black girl with no power and no protection. They think they can say whatever they want and face no consequences. She leaned in close. They're wrong. And they're about to find out exactly how wrong they are. Maya felt something shift inside her. The fear that had been suffocating her all day began to ease. When? Martha looked at her watch. 3 days. She has to wrap up her current operation, but she's coming. And Maya. Yes, Grandma. When she gets here, you stand up straight. You look those people in the eye, and you don't say a word. Let your mother do the talking. Martha smiled again. Trust me, baby. She's very good at talking. Maya hugged her grandmother tight. 3 days. She could survive 3 days. But across town in a mansion on the hill, Councilman Richard Whitmore was making plans of his own. He sat in his study phone pressed to his ear. Crawford listened to me carefully. This Maya Thompson situation needs to be handled before it becomes a distraction. My son is involved, and I won't have the Whitmore name dragged through the mud over some girl's fantasy. Principal Douglas Crawford's voice came through the speaker, nervous and eager to please. "Of course, Councilman. I've already spoken with Mrs. Hartwell. We're planning to recommend Maya's expulsion by the end of the week." "On what grounds?" "Disruption, dishonesty, creating a hostile environment for other students." Whitmore laughed. "She's creating a hostile environment, that's rich. Make it happen, Crawford, and make sure there's no blowback on my son." "Absolutely, sir. Consider it done." Whitmore hung up and leaned back in his chair. He had no idea that the girl he was trying to expel had a mother with more security clearances than his entire political party. He had no idea that his phone calls were being monitored by people who answered to no one but the commander-in-chief. He had no idea that in exactly 72 hours his entire world was going to come crashing down around him. But he would learn. They would all learn. The next 2 days were worse than anything Maya had experienced at Oakwood. Her locker was vandalized twice more. Students tripped her in the hallways. Someone accidentally spilled hot coffee on her hand in the lunch line. A group of girls cornered her in the bathroom and cut a chunk of her hair before she could escape. But the worst was the isolation. Teachers looked away when she walked past. Students moved to different seats if she sat near them. Even the lunch ladies stopped making eye contact. Maya Thompson had become invisible. A ghost haunting the halls of a school that wanted her gone. On the second day, Mrs. Hartwell called Maya to the front of the classroom again. "I have an update," she announced to the class. "I've been attempting to contact Maya's mother to verify her claims. As expected, I've had no success. Whoever this woman is, she seems quite determined not to be found." Scattered laughter. Perhaps she doesn't want to be exposed as Maya's enabler in this fantasy. Perhaps she's embarrassed. Perhaps she simply doesn't exist. "She exists," Maya said quietly. "Oh, really? Then where is she, Maya? Why won't she answer my calls? Why won't she come here and prove you right? She's working. Working where? Doing what? Whatever imaginary mission you've dreamed up for her." The class erupted in laughter. Maya stood perfectly still. Her mother's words rang in her ears. "Don't let them see you doubt yourself, not even for a second." "My mother will be here," Maya said, her voice cutting through the noise. "Tomorrow." The laughter died. Mrs. Hartwell's expression flickered. "Tomorrow? Tomorrow, after school. She's flying in." Maya met the teacher's eyes without blinking. "I hope you're ready to meet her, Mrs. Hartwell. I really hope you are." Something crossed Mrs. Hartwell's face, the first cold hint of uncertainty, but she recovered quickly. "Well, how dramatic. I look forward to it." "Sit down, Maya. We'll see what tomorrow brings." Maya walked back to her seat. Tyler leaned over as she passed. "Nice try. But you're going to be so humiliated tomorrow when some random lady shows up pretending to be a soldier. Can't wait." Maya didn't look at him. She didn't say a word. She just smiled. And something in that smile made Tyler Whitmore feel for the first time a tiny flicker of fear. That night, Mrs. Patricia Hartwell sat alone in her living room, staring at a photograph. It showed a young man in army dress uniform. Her son Kyle. The pride of her life. The hero she talked about at every opportunity. What she never told anyone was what happened after that photograph was taken. Kyle Hartwell had served in the military for exactly 18 months before being dishonorably discharged. The official reason was listed as conduct unbecoming. The real reason was much worse. He had abandoned his post during combat. He had endangered his entire unit. And when he was caught, he had tried to blame a black sergeant for his own failures. The investigation that followed had destroyed his career. And the officer who had signed his discharge papers, the one who had refused to accept any excuses or political pressure. Her name was Commander Denise Thompson. Patricia Hartwell had spent years burying that shame, spinning stories about her hero son, wearing her Blue Star mother pin like armor against the truth. But somewhere in the dark corners of her mind, she had always feared that the truth would catch up with her. Now staring at Maya Thompson's defiant face in her memory, she felt that fear rising. What if impossible? It had to be a coincidence. There was no way that girl's mother was the same woman who had ruined her son's life. No way at all. Patricia Hartwell poured herself another glass of wine and tried to silence the voice in her head that whispered, "What if you're wrong?" The next afternoon, Maya stood outside the main building of Oakwood Academy watching the sky. Her grandmother had called that morning. "She's on her way, baby. She'll be there by 3 o'clock. You just hold on a little longer." It was 2:55. The other students were gathered on the front steps waiting. Word had spread through the school like wildfire. Maya's mother was coming. The imaginary Navy SEAL. The fantasy soldier. Everyone wanted to see the show. Mrs. Hartwell stood with Principal Crawford, both wearing expressions of patient condescension. Tyler had his phone out ready to capture every moment of Maya's humiliation. "5 minutes valor, girl," Tyler called out. "Where's your superhero mommy?" Maya didn't answer. She just kept watching the sky. 2:57, 2:58, 2:59. The whispers grew louder, the laughter more confident. Mrs. Hartwell checked her watch with theatrical impatience. "Well, Maya, it seems your mother has stood you up. What a surprise." Tyler started a slow clap. Others joined in. And then Maya heard it. A distant sound, growing closer. The rhythmic beating of helicopter blades slicing through air. She smiled. "She's here." Tyler laughed. "Yeah, right. What did she rent a news chopper?" The sound grew louder, 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 until it was impossible to ignore. The students looked up. Mrs. Hartwell shaded her eyes. Principal Crawford's mouth fell open. A military helicopter descended from the clouds painted in the colors of the United States Navy, moving with purpose and precision toward the school's football field. Someone screamed. Students scattered. The helicopter touched down on the 50-yard line, its blades still spinning, its presence absolutely undeniably real. The doors opened. Commander Denise Thompson stepped out. She was tall, powerful, dressed in full Navy dress uniform, with medals covering her chest. Her face was carved from stone. Her eyes swept the crowd with the cold assessment of someone who had learned to spot threats in the darkest corners of the world. 2 SEALs flanked her, stone-faced and deadly, falling into formation behind her as she strode across the field toward the school. Every step she took was a statement. "I am here. I am real. I am everything my daughter said I was." And more. Maya walked toward her mother through the stunned silence, past the frozen students, past the teachers whose faces had gone pale. Commander Thompson stopped, looked at her daughter, saw the bruises from the hallway shoves, saw the burn mark on her hand from the hot coffee, saw the chunk of missing hair that Maya had tried to hide. Something changed in her eyes. Something cold and terrible and absolutely focused. She looked past Maya to the crowd gathered on the steps. Her eyes found Mrs. Hartwell. And Mrs. Patricia Hartwell, for the first time in 30 years of teaching, understood what it felt like to be prey. Commander Denise Thompson's voice carried across the field like thunder. "I understand someone here called my daughter a liar." No one moved. No one breathed. "I understand someone here put their hands on my child." Mrs. Hartwell's face went white. Commander Thompson began walking toward the school, her SEALs falling in behind her. "I understand someone here thought they could break my daughter because she told the truth about who I am." She stopped at the bottom of the steps, looking up at the assembled crowd of teachers and students and administrators who had made Maya's life hell for the past 3 days. Her voice dropped to something quiet, something dangerous. "I'm here now, and we're going to have a conversation about truth, about consequences, about what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness." She looked directly at Mrs. Hartwell. "Starting with you." Mrs. Hartwell opened her mouth. No sound came out. And somewhere in the crowd, Tyler Whitmore's phone slipped from his numb fingers and shattered on the concrete. The reckoning had begun. Commander Denise Thompson stood at the bottom of the steps, her eyes locked on Mrs. Patricia Hartwell like a laser sight finding its target. The silence stretched for 10 seconds. 20. An eternity. Mrs. Hartwell's mouth opened and closed. Her hand went to her blue star mother pin, as if it could protect her, as if anything could protect her now. "I asked you a question," Commander Thompson said. Her voice was quiet, controlled, more terrifying than any shout. "Did you call my daughter a liar?" Principal Crawford stepped forward, his politician's smile firmly in place. "Commander, I'm sure there's been some misunderstanding. If we could just step into my office and discuss this like reasonable—" "I wasn't talking to you." 3 words. Crawford stopped mid-step as if he had walked into an invisible wall. Commander Thompson climbed the first step, then the second. The crowd parted before her like water. "Mrs. Hartwell, I'm waiting." Patricia Hartwell's face had gone from white to gray. Her lips trembled. The assignment required proof. I simply asked for verification of, you wrote liar on my daughter's essay in red ink. You held it up for the entire class to see. You humiliated her in front of her peers." Commander Thompson's voice remained level, but something in it made several students take a step back. "Is that accurate?" She couldn't prove, "Is that accurate?" Mrs. Hartwell's chin dropped. "Yes. And you." Commander Thompson turned to Tyler Whitmore, who looked like he was trying to disappear into the crowd. "You recorded my daughter. You mocked her. You started a hashtag to humiliate her. You sent her a text message telling her to kill herself." Tyler's face went pale. "I didn't. That was just... I have the screenshots. I have the video. I have everything." Commander Thompson pulled out her phone and held it up. "Would you like me to share them with your father? Or should I share them with the local news first?" "Please." Tyler's voice cracked. "Please don't." Commander Thompson looked at him for a long moment. Then she turned back to Mrs. Hartwell. "But you're the adult here. You're the teacher. You had a responsibility to protect my daughter, and instead, you led the attack against her." Mrs. Hartwell straightened slightly. Some of her old defiance flickered back. "I was teaching her a lesson about honesty. In 30 years of education, I have never— 30 years. Commander Thompson climbed another step. They were almost face to face now. "That's interesting, because I've been in the Navy for 22 years. And in that time, I've learned to recognize someone who's hiding something." Mrs. Hartwell's defiance wavered. "You keep touching that pin," Commander Thompson continued. "Blue Star Mother. Your son served, you said. Served proudly. Earned his honor." "He did. My Kyle was a hero." "Was he?" The question hung in the air like a blade. What are you implying?" Commander Thompson smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Private First Class Kyle Hartwell. Enlisted 2015. Deployed to Afghanistan 2016. Dishonorably discharged 2017. She recited the facts like reading a death sentence. Charges included abandonment of post-endangerment of fellow soldiers and falsifying reports to blame a fellow serviceman for his own failures. Mrs. Hartwell's face contorted. "That's a lie. My son was railroaded. There was a conspiracy against him because he was white, and the man he accused was black." Commander Thompson finished the sentence. "Sergeant Marcus Williams, a decorated soldier with 15 years of exemplary service. Your son tried to destroy his career to cover his own cowardice." "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about." Commander Thompson leaned in close. "Because I was the commanding officer who investigated the case. I was the one who saw through your son's lies, and I was the one who signed his discharge papers." Mrs. Hartwell staggered backward. "You," she whispered. "You're the one who ruined his life. Your son ruined his own life. I just made sure he couldn't ruin anyone else's." Mrs. Hartwell's eyes went wild. "You destroyed my family. My boy has never recovered. He can't hold a job. He can't maintain relationships. Everything he could have been. He could have been a man who took responsibility for his actions. Instead, he chose to be a coward and a liar, just like his mother taught him. The slap came fast. Mrs. Hartwell's palm connected with Commander Thompson's cheek with a crack that echoed across the steps. No one moved. Commander Thompson slowly turned her head back to face Mrs. Hartwell. A red mark bloomed on her dark skin. Her expression hadn't changed at all. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I was hoping you'd do that." Mrs. Hartwell realized her mistake too late. "That's assault on a military officer," Commander Thompson continued. "Witnessed by approximately 200 students and faculty. Recorded on at least 50 phones." She glanced at the crowd. "Does anyone here not have video of what just happened?" Silence. "I thought so." Commander Thompson turned to her SEALs. "Lieutenant Morrison, please contact the Shore Patrol. Mrs. Hartwell will need to be taken into custody." Mrs. Hartwell's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the steps, her face crumbling. "No. No, please. I'll lose my job. I'll lose everything." "You should have thought about that before you kicked my daughter in the ribs." Maya stepped forward. "Mom." Commander Thompson turned to her daughter. The cold mask slipped for just a moment, revealing the mother beneath the warrior. "Yes, baby. The kick. You know about that. I know about everything." Commander Thompson's voice softened. "I've known since the moment it happened. I've been watching. I've been waiting. And now I'm here." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't lie. I never lied." "I know, baby. I know." Commander Thompson pulled her daughter into her arms. For a moment there was no military commander, no investigation, no reckoning, just a mother holding her child. Then she looked up at Principal Crawford over Maya's shoulder. "You and I need to talk. Now." 45 minutes later, the principal's office had become an interrogation room. Commander Thompson sat across from Douglas Crawford, her SEALs positioned at the door. Maya sat beside her mother, still trembling, but no longer crying. "Let me make sure I understand the situation," Commander Thompson said. "For the past 3 days, my daughter has been harassed, vandalized, physically assaulted, and publicly humiliated, and you did nothing." Crawford shifted in his seat. "Commander, I wasn't fully aware of the extent. You received 17 reports of vandalism to Maya's locker. Your security cameras recorded students tripping her in the hallways. A teacher witnessed red paint being thrown on her in art class. You were aware. I was conducting an investigation. You were conducting a cover-up." Commander Thompson slid a folder across the desk. "These are emails between you and Councilman Whitmore. Would you like me to read them aloud?" Crawford's face lost all color. "The Thompson situation needs to be handled before it becomes a distraction." Commander Thompson read, "My son is involved, and I won't have the Whitmore name dragged through the mud." Your response, "Consider it done." She looked up. "You were planning to expel my daughter to protect a councilman's son. Is that accurate?" Crawford said nothing. "Your silence speaks volumes." Commander Thompson stood. "As of this moment, you are suspended pending a federal investigation into misuse of school funds, conspiracy to violate civil rights, and corruption." "You can't do that. You don't have the authority." "I have exactly the authority I need." Commander Thompson pulled out another document. "This is a warrant signed by a federal judge. Your school receives federal funding, which means you answer to federal law. And federal law takes a very dim view of administrators who cover up the assault of students." Crawford's hands shook as he took the warrant. "The FBI will be here within the hour." Commander Thompson continued, "I suggest you use that time to decide how cooperative you want to be." She turned to leave, then paused at the door. "By the way, that security footage you thought was erased. It wasn't. Someone made copies." She smiled slightly. "You really should be nicer to your janitors." Outside the office, Harold Jenkins was waiting. He stood straight when he saw Commander Thompson, his posture shifting into something more military. more familiar. "Sergeant Major Jenkins," Commander Thompson said. "It's been a long time." Maya's eyes went wide. "You know each other?" Jenkins smiled. "Your mama and I served together, long time ago, before she made officer and I got too old for the field." "Harold called me 3 days ago," Commander Thompson explained. "Told me what was happening. Told me he was gathering evidence. He's the reason I knew exactly what I was walking into." Maya turned to the old janitor. You did that for me." Jenkins shrugged. "You said good morning to me every day, young lady. Only student in this whole school who did. That meant something." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small camera. "Besides, I've been documenting everything that happens in this school for years. Never know when the truth might come in handy." "Thank you," Maya whispered. "Thank you so much." "Don't thank me yet." Jenkins looked at Commander Thompson. "There's more, much more. Things happening at this school that nobody knows about. Money missing, grades being changed, scholarships being bought and sold." Commander Thompson nodded slowly. "Show me." 3 hours later, the scope of the corruption became clear. In a basement storage room that Jenkins had converted into a makeshift evidence archive, Commander Thompson reviewed files that should have been destroyed years ago. "They've been stealing from the federal lunch program," Jenkins explained. "Redirecting funds meant for poor kids into a slush fund for the Board of Trustees. Principal Crawford signs off on everything, and Councilman Whitmore makes sure nobody asks questions." "How long?" "At least 10 years, maybe longer." Commander Thompson studied the documents. "This is bigger than assault and bullying. This is systemic fraud." "Yes, ma'am, it is." "And you've been collecting evidence this whole time?" Jenkins nodded. "Waiting for someone with the power to do something about it. Someone they couldn't threaten or buy off." He looked at her steadily. "Someone like you." Commander Thompson was quiet for a long moment. "Maya," she finally said, "when you wrote that essay about me being your hero, you had no idea what you were starting." Maya shook her head. "This school has been rotting from the inside for years. The racism, the bullying, the corruption, it's all connected. And you, by simply telling the truth, exposed the whole thing. I just wanted them to believe me. And now they will. Now everyone will." Commander Thompson stood. "But this is going to get worse before it gets better. The people involved have money, power, connections. They're going to fight back." "Let them," Maya said quietly. Her mother looked at her. "Let them fight," Maya repeated. Her voice was stronger now. "They called me a liar. They kicked me. They tried to break me, and I'm still standing." She lifted her chin. "You taught me that. You taught me to never quit, no matter what." Commander Thompson's eyes glistened. "Yes, I did." She pulled Maya into another hug. "I'm so proud of you, baby. So incredibly proud." But across town, the fight was already beginning. Councilman Richard Whitmore sat in his study phone pressed to his ear, face purple with rage. "What do you mean suspended Crawford can't be suspended? I put him in that position." His lawyer's voice came through tinny and anxious. "Sir, there's a federal warrant. FBI is already on campus. They have documents, financial records." "What documents? Everything was supposed to be destroyed." "Apparently someone made copies. A janitor, they're saying. Some old man who's been there for decades." Whitmore slammed his fist on the desk. "Jenkins! That meddling old fool!" "Sir, there's more. The woman who arrived in the helicopter. Commander Thompson, she's not just some random officer. She has connections at the highest levels, Pentagon, DOJ, even the White House. If she decides to pursue this, she won't, she can't." Whitmore's mind raced. "Everyone has a price. Everyone has a weakness. Find hers." "Sir, I don't think you understand. She's a decorated SEAL commander. She's taken down terrorist cells, drug cartels. You can't threaten someone like that." "Then find another way." Whitmore's voice dropped to something dangerous. No one destroys what I've built. No one. I don't care who she is or what medals she wears. This is my town, my school, my rules. He hung up and stared at the photograph on his desk. His son Tyler, dressed in his football uniform, smiling that golden smile. Tyler, who had texted a 16-year-old girl to kill herself. Tyler, who was about to face consequences for the first time in his life. Whitmore reached for his phone again. He had more calls to make, more pressure to apply, more strings to pull. The commander thought she had won. She was wrong. Back at Oakwood Academy, Tyler Whitmore sat alone in the boys' locker room. The pills were gone. He had flushed them earlier, right after watching his world collapse, right after seeing the look on Commander Thompson's face when she called him out in front of the entire school. He had never felt shame like that before. Real shame. The kind that burned in your chest and made it hard to breathe. For 16 years, he had been Tyler Whitmore. The golden boy. The untouchable prince. Everything he wanted had been handed to him. Everything he did had been excused. And now, in a single afternoon, it was all over. His phone buzzed. A text from his father. "Come home, now. We need to prepare your statement." Tyler stared at the message. His father wanted to spin this, to turn Tyler into the victim, to blame the commander, blame Maya, blame anyone except the people actually responsible. Because that's what Whitmores did. They never admitted fault. They never took responsibility. They won no matter the cost. Tyler thought about Maya standing in the cafeteria holding up that coin, refusing to back down even when the whole school was against her. He thought about the look in her eyes when she said, "Someday, when you grow up enough to realize what honor actually means, you're going to remember this moment and be ashamed." She was right. He was ashamed. He typed a response to his father. "Not coming. I have something I need to do first." Then he turned off his phone and walked out of the locker room. He had to find Maya Thompson. He had something to say. It was almost 7 o'clock when Maya and her mother finally left the school. The campus was empty now. Police tape marked off sections of the building. Federal agents moved in and out carrying boxes of documents. News vans lined the street, their lights cutting through the growing darkness. Maya walked beside her mother toward the military vehicle waiting at the curb. "Where are we going?" "Your grandmother's house. You need rest. Tomorrow is going to be a long day." "What happens tomorrow?" Commander Thompson sighed. "Press conferences, interviews, more investigators. The whole country is going to know about this by morning." "I didn't want any of this," Maya said quietly. "I just wanted to write about my mom." "I know, baby, but sometimes the truth has a way of exposing more than we intend. You pulled one thread, and the whole tapestry started unraveling." They were almost at the vehicle when a voice called out, "Maya, wait!" Tyler Whitmore ran across the parking lot toward them. The two SEALs moved immediately, positioning themselves between Tyler and Commander Thompson. "Stop right there!" one of them ordered. Tyler skidded to a halt, hands raised. I don't want trouble. Please, I just need to talk to her. 1 minute, that's all." Commander Thompson studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded to her SEALs. "Let him through, but watch him." Tyler approached slowly. His eyes were red. His face was pale. He looked nothing like the confident golden boy who had tormented Maya for 3 days. "Maya," he said. His voice broke on her name. "I'm sorry." Maya stared at him. "I know that doesn't mean anything. I know sorry doesn't fix what I did. But I needed you to hear it." Tyler's hands were shaking. "I was wrong. About everything. About you. About your mom. About all of it. You told me to kill myself." Tyler flinched as if she had struck him. I know. There's no excuse for that. None." He took a shaky breath. I've been messed up for a long time. Not that it matters, Not that it's an excuse, but I wanted you to know that what I did, it wasn't really about you. It was about me. About hating myself so much that the only way I could feel anything was by making someone else hurt. Maya said nothing. My dad is going to try to spin this, Tyler continued. He's going to make you the villain and me the victim. That's what he does. That's what he's always done. He looked at Commander Thompson. But I'm not going to let him. Not this time. What are you saying? Commander Thompson asked. I'm saying I'll testify. Against my dad. Against Principal Crawford. Against anyone who was involved in covering this up. Tyler's jaw set. I have recordings. Conversations with my dad where he told me exactly how to bully Maya. How to make her look like a liar. How to protect the Whitmore name at any cost. Commander Thompson's eyes narrowed. You recorded your own father. I record everything. Insurance, my dad calls it. Make sure you have leverage in case someone turns against you. Tyler laughed bitterly. I never thought I'd use it against him. Why are you doing this? Tyler looked at Maya. Because she was right. About everything. I've spent my whole life pretending to be something I'm not. Pretending to be strong when I'm weak. Pretending to be happy when I'm dying inside. Pretending to be a Whitmore when I don't even know who that is anymore. He wiped his eyes. My dad is going to disown me. My friends, if you can even call them that, are going to abandon me. I'm going to lose everything. And you're okay with that? Maya asked. Tyler met her gaze. For the first time there was something real in his eyes. Something honest. No. I'm terrified. But you said something that I can't stop thinking about. You said your mom taught you that being a hero is about what you do when everything is hard. When everyone says you can't. When the whole world wants you to quit. He paused. I want to know what that feels like. I want to know who I am when I stop being my father's son and start being my own person. Maya looked at her mother. Commander Thompson was studying Tyler with an expression Maya couldn't read, calculating, assessing, deciding. Finally, she spoke. Do you understand what you're offering? This isn't a game. If you testify against your father, there's no going back. He will come after you with everything he has. I know. He has money, lawyers, political connections. He could make your life very difficult. He already has, Tyler said quietly. He just never had to try before. Commander Thompson nodded slowly. Come with us. You can give your statement to the FBI tonight. After that, we'll figure out how to protect you. Mom, Maya interjected. Are you sure he's the one who... I know what he did, Commander Thompson said. I also know that people can change. And right now, we need all the allies we can get. She looked at Tyler. But understand this. If you're playing us, if this is some scheme your father cooked up, I will know. And the consequences will be severe. It's not a scheme, I swear. Then get in the vehicle. We have a lot to discuss. Tyler climbed in. Maya followed. Commander Thompson gave one last look at the chaos of Oakwood Academy. The police tape, the news vans, the building that had sheltered so much cruelty for so long. And then she got in as well. The vehicle pulled away. Behind them, a fire had been lit. And it was about to spread far beyond anyone's imagination. At 9:15 that night, the first news story broke. Breaking news from Virginia. A decorated Navy SEAL commander has accused officials at an elite private school of assault, corruption, and systemic racism. We go live to Oakwood Academy, where federal investigators have been gathering evidence for the past several hours. Martha Thompson watched the coverage from her living room, Maya asleep with her head in her grandmother's lap. Commander Thompson sat in the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, coordinating with investigators and lawyers and military officials who had been working through the night. On the screen, footage played of the helicopter landing, of Commander Thompson confronting Mrs. Hartwell, of the slap that had been viewed 10 million times in the past 4 hours. Grandma, Maya stirred, blinking awake. What time is it? Late, baby. Go back to sleep. I can't. Maya sat up, staring at the television. Is that from today? Yes. The whole world is watching now. Maya watched as her own face appeared on screen. A photograph from her school ID. Above it, the headline, Student's Essay About Hero Mom Exposes School-Wide Corruption. I didn't want to be famous, Maya whispered. I know, but sometimes fame finds us whether we want it or not. Martha stroked her granddaughter's hair. What matters is what you do with it. What am I supposed to do? Tell the truth. That's all you've ever done. That's all you need to keep doing. Commander Thompson appeared in the doorway. Maya, there's someone who wants to talk to you. Who? A reporter from the Washington Post. She's been covering military families for 20 years. She's fair, she's honest, and she wants to tell your story. Commander Thompson paused. But it's your choice. You don't have to talk to anyone if you don't want to. Maya thought about Mrs. Hartwell writing liar on her essay. About Tyler holding her challenge coin over the trash can. About the spray paint on her locker. About all the voices that had tried to silence her. I'll do it, she said. Are you sure? Maya stood up. They tried to bury my truth. They almost succeeded. But now everyone's listening, and I'm not going to waste that. She looked at her mother. You taught me to never quit. You taught me to fight for what's right. This is me fighting. Commander Thompson's eyes filled with pride. That's my girl. At 10:45, Maya sat across from Sarah Chen, the Washington Post reporter, in her grandmother's kitchen. The questions were hard. The memories were harder. But Maya told her story from beginning to end, leaving nothing out. She talked about Mrs. Hartwell's cruelty, about Tyler's harassment, about the vandalism and the violence and the adults who looked the other way. She talked about her mother, the real woman behind the uniform, the nightmares and the sacrifices and the missed birthdays and the long deployments. She talked about what it meant to be a black girl in a school full of people who thought she didn't belong. And she talked about hope. I still believe most people are good, Maya said. Even after everything, I have to believe that. Because if I don't, then they win. And I'm not going to let them win. Sarah Chen turned off her recorder. Thank you, Maya. Your story is going to change a lot of lives. I hope so. Maya paused. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you want to interview me? There must be bigger stories out there. Sarah smiled. Because your story isn't just about a school or a teacher or even corruption. It's about what happens when one person refuses to be silenced. It's about the power of truth in a world that rewards lies. She gathered her things. Stories like yours remind people that fighting back is possible. That courage isn't just for soldiers on battlefields. It's for 16-year-old girls in classrooms too. Maya watched her go. Through the window she could see the news vans still lined up on the street. Reporters doing stand-ups in front of her grandmother's house. The whole world was watching. And Maya Thompson was just getting started. At midnight, Councilman Whitmore made his move. He held a press conference on the steps of City Hall, surrounded by lawyers and supporters and cameras. My family has been the victim of a vicious attack, he declared. A military officer has abused her power to persecute my son and destroy a respected teacher's career. This is not justice. This is a witch hunt. Reporters shouted questions. What about the evidence of financial corruption? Fabricated. We will prove it in court. What about your son's text message telling Maya Thompson to kill herself? Whitmore's jaw tightened. My son is a minor who made a mistake. He apologizes. But one text message does not justify the destruction of our institutions. Where is your son now? Whitmore hesitated. Tyler is resting at home. It was a lie. He had no idea where Tyler was, but he wasn't about to admit that his own son had turned against him. We will fight these charges with everything we have, Whitmore continued. And when the truth comes out, You will see that Oakwood Academy and its leadership are the victims here, not the aggressors." He turned and walked away, ignoring the shouted questions. Inside his limousine, he pulled out his phone. "Find my son," he said to whoever answered. "Find him now, and make sure he doesn't talk to anyone else." But Tyler Whitmore was already at the FBI field office giving his statement. And the recordings he had brought with him were about to blow the councilman's world apart. The truth was coming, and nothing could stop it now. The FBI field office was quiet at 1:30 in the morning, but the interrogation room where Tyler Whitmore sat was electric with tension. Agent Rebecca Morrison pressed play on the recording Tyler had provided. Councilman Whitmore's voice filled the room clear and damning. "Listen to me, son. That Thompson girl is going to destroy everything I've built. You need to make her life hell. Make her transfer out. Make her disappear. I don't care how you do it. Just make sure the Whitmore name stays clean." Tyler's recorded voice responded, "What if she doesn't back down?" "Then we escalate. Crawford will expel her. Hartwell will make sure she's labeled a liar. And if that doesn't work..." A pause. "There are other options." Agent Morrison stopped the recording. "Other options," she repeated. What did he mean by that? Tyler's hands were shaking. "I don't know, I swear. He never explained." "But you have an idea." Tyler looked at the table. "My father. He knows people. People who make problems disappear. I always thought it was just talk, political intimidation. But after today..." "You think he would have hurt Maya Thompson?" "I think he would have done whatever it took to protect himself." Tyler's voice cracked. "That's who he is. That's who I was becoming." Agent Morrison studied him for a long moment. "You understand that by giving us this recording, you're ending your father's career, possibly sending him to prison." "I know. And you're prepared for that." Tyler looked up. His eyes were red, but his voice was steady. "My father taught me that winning is everything. That power is all that matters. That people like Maya Thompson are obstacles to be crushed." He paused. But watching her stand up in that cafeteria, watching her refuse to back down even when everyone was against her, I realized something. "What?" "She has something my father never had. Something I never had." Tyler swallowed hard. "Integrity. Real integrity. Not the fake kind you perform for cameras. The kind that costs you everything, and you do it anyway because it's right." Agent Morrison nodded slowly. "We're going to need you to testify. On the record. In court." "I'll do it." "Your father will come after you with everything he has." "I know." Tyler almost smiled. "But for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of him. I'm more afraid of becoming him." At 2:15 in the morning, Commander Denise Thompson received a call that changed everything. She stepped away from the strategy meeting at her mother's house and answered on the second ring. "Commander Thompson, this is Agent Morrison, FBI. We have a situation." "What kind of situation?" "Tyler Whitmore just gave us recordings that implicate his father in conspiracy witness tampering and possibly worse. But that's not why I'm calling." Commander Thompson's grip tightened on the phone. "Go on." "In going through the evidence Harold Jenkins collected, we found something else. Financial records showing payments from Councilman Whitmore to Patricia Hartwell. Monthly payments. For the past 8 years. Payments for what? We're not sure yet, but the amounts are significant. Over $200,000 total." Commander Thompson's mind raced. Hartwell was on Whitmore's payroll. "It appears so. Which means the attack on your daughter wasn't random. It wasn't just racism or personal hatred. It was coordinated. They targeted Maya specifically." "We believe so. Your daughter's enrollment at Oakwood 3 years ago coincides with increased payments to Hartwell, and we found emails between Whitmore and Crawford discussing how to handle the Thompson problem." Commander Thompson felt ice form in her stomach. "They've been planning this for 3 years." "It looks that way." Commander, I think your daughter was targeted because of you. Because of what you did to Kyle Hartwell. Because of your investigation into corruption in military contracts that touched some of Whitmore's business interests. This was revenge. Revenge and self-protection. You've made powerful enemies over the years, and they've been using your daughter to get to you. Commander Thompson closed her eyes. 3 years. For 3 years, Maya had been suffering, and it was all because of enemies Denise didn't even know she had. What do you need from me? Everything. Every investigation you've been part of. Every powerful person you've crossed. We need to understand the full scope of what we're dealing with. You'll have it within the hour. One more thing, Commander. We have reason to believe Whitmore is desperate. Desperate men do dangerous things. You should increase security around your family. Already done. Good. We'll be in touch. The line went dead. Commander Thompson stood in the darkness processing what she had just learned. Her daughter's suffering wasn't random cruelty. It was a calculated attack, and the people responsible were going to pay. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Patricia Hartwell sat in a holding cell, her world in ruins. The booking process had been humiliating. Fingerprints, photographs, personal belongings confiscated. The Blue Star Mother pin she had worn like armor for years was now in a plastic evidence bag. A guard appeared at her cell. "Hartwell, your lawyer's here." They led her to a small room where a man in an expensive suit waited. "Mrs. Hartwell, I'm David Chen. Councilman Whitmore sent me." Patricia's eyes widened. "Richard sent you. He wants to help, but first we need to discuss your options." "My options?" Patricia laughed bitterly. "I assaulted a military officer on camera. I kicked a student. My options are prison or prison." "Not necessarily." Chen leaned forward. "There may be a way to reduce your charges significantly. Perhaps even avoid prison altogether." "How?" "By cooperating with the councilman's defense, by testifying that Commander Thompson provoked you, that she made threats, that you acted in self-defense." Patricia stared at him. "You want me to lie?" "I want you to present the facts in a way that benefits everyone involved." "Everyone except Maya Thompson." "She's a child. Her testimony won't carry much weight against yours, especially if we can establish a pattern of behavioral issues, lying, attention-seeking, creating conflict wherever she goes." Patricia thought about Maya standing in her classroom holding up that challenge coin, refusing to back down. She thought about the girl's eyes, the determination, the courage. She thought about her own son Kyle, who had never shown that kind of strength, who had crumbled at the first sign of pressure and blamed everyone else for his failures. "No," Patricia said. Chen blinked. "Excuse me?" "I said no. I'm not going to lie anymore." Patricia's voice shook, but she kept going. "I've been lying for years, about my son, about myself, about what kind of person I am, and look where it got me. Mrs. Hartwell, I strongly advise. I kicked a 16-year-old girl because she told the truth about her mother. I called her a liar because I couldn't stand that her family had honor when mine had none." Patricia's eyes filled with tears. "I've spent 30 years teaching children, and I became the worst kind of bully. I became the monster. If you don't cooperate, then I'll face the consequences, real consequences, for the first time in my life." Patricia stood up. "Tell Richard Whitmore to find another scapegoat. I'm done being his puppet." Chen's expression hardened. "You're making a mistake." "No, I made my mistakes a long time ago. This is me finally trying to fix them." She called for the guard. "Take me back to my cell. I'm done here." As she was led away, Patricia Hartwell felt something she hadn't felt in years. Relief. The weight of her lies was finally lifting, and whatever came next, at least it would be honest. At 6:45 in the morning, Maya woke to the sound of voices in her grandmother's kitchen. She found her mother on the phone, dark circles under her eyes, still wearing the same uniform from the day before. "Mom, did you sleep at all?" Commander Thompson ended her call and turned to her daughter. "No, baby. But it doesn't matter. We have a lot to discuss." "What happened?" "Come, sit. Your grandmother made breakfast." Martha Thompson was at the stove, moving with the quiet efficiency of a woman who had weathered many storms. "Eat first," Martha said, setting a plate in front of Maya. "Then talk. You'll need your strength." Maya ate, but she could feel the tension in the room. Finally, Commander Thompson spoke. "Maya, there's something you need to know. What happened to you at Oakwood? It wasn't random." "What do you mean? The payments, the coordination, the planning?" "It all traces back to people who wanted to hurt me by hurting you. Councilman Whitmore, Principal Crawford, Mrs. Hartwell. They were all working together." Maya set down her fork. "They targeted me because of you. Because of enemies I made doing my job. People I exposed. People I stopped." Commander Thompson's voice was heavy with guilt. "I'm so sorry, baby. I never thought they would come after you." Maya was quiet for a long moment. "So it wasn't about me at all. It was about revenge on you." "Yes. And Mrs. Hartwell, she was paid to hate me." "It appears so." Maya absorbed this. Then she said something that made her mother's heart break. "That actually makes me feel better." "What?" "I spent 3 years thinking there was something wrong with me, thinking that no matter what I did, I would never be good enough for people like Mrs. Hartwell. But it wasn't about me being wrong. It was about them being corrupt." Maya looked at her mother. "That's not my failure. That's theirs." Commander Thompson reached across the table and took her daughter's hand. "When did you become so wise?" "I learned from the best." Martha smiled from the stove. "That's my girl." At 8 o'clock, the news cycle exploded. Sarah Chen's article in the Washington Post went live, and within minutes, it was everywhere. Elite School's Dirty Secrets. Student's essay exposes years of corruption, racism, and fraud. The story had everything: the assault, the vandalism, the financial crimes, Tyler Whitmore's betrayal of his own father, Harold Jenkins's years of secret documentation. And at the center of it all, Maya Thompson, the 16-year-old girl who had simply wanted to write about her hero. Maya watched the coverage from her grandmother's living room, flanked by her mother and grandmother. Her phone buzzed constantly. Messages from classmates, some apologetic, some hostile, some from people she had never even spoken to offering support. One message stood out. It was from Jessica Palmer, the girl who had overheard Mrs. Hartwell's interrogation of Maya days earlier. "Maya, I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. My dad knew your mom. He always said she was a hero. I should have defended you. I was a coward. But if you need me to testify about what I heard, I will. You deserve the truth to come out." Maya showed the message to her mother. "People are starting to come forward," Commander Thompson said. "The courage you showed is inspiring others." "I didn't feel courageous. I felt scared. That's what courage is, baby. Being scared and doing it anyway." At 9:30, Councilman Whitmore held an emergency press conference. But this time, things were different. Reporters shouted questions before he could even reach the microphone. "Councilman, is it true your son is cooperating with federal investigators? Is it true you paid Patricia Hartwell to target Maya Thompson? Is it true you have connections to military contractors under investigation for fraud?" Whitmore tried to take control. "These accusations are baseless. My political opponents are using a family tragedy to... Your son released recordings of you instructing him to bully Maya Thompson. How do you respond?" Whitmore's face went pale. "Those recordings they've been taken out of context. My son is troubled. He's been manipulated by whom? By the decorated Navy SEAL commander whose daughter he harassed. I have no further comment at this time." Whitmore turned and fled the press conference, reporters chasing him with questions. His political career was collapsing in real time, and he knew exactly who to blame. At 10:15, Maya received an unexpected visitor. A black SUV pulled up to her grandmother's house. 2 men in suits got out first, scanning the area. Then the rear door opened. A woman in her 60s stepped out. Silver hair, immaculate suit, eyes that had seen everything and judged most of it wanting. Commander Thompson went rigid. "Mom, who is that?" "Senator Elizabeth Warren." Commander Thompson's voice was strange. "She chairs the Armed Services Committee." The senator walked to the front door and knocked. Martha answered. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see Maya Thompson and her mother. May I come in?" They gathered in the living room. The senator declined coffee and got straight to the point. "Maya, I've been following your story since yesterday. What you've endured is unconscionable, and the courage you've shown is remarkable." "Thank you, ma'am. I'm here because this situation has implications beyond one school or one town. The corruption you've exposed connects to federal contracts, military procurement, and political networks that extend far beyond Virginia." Commander Thompson leaned forward. "How far?" "Far enough that I've authorized a full Senate investigation. We're going to tear this apart piece by piece until we find everyone responsible." "And Maya?" Senator Warren looked at the teenager. "Maya, I'd like you to testify before the Senate subcommittee. Tell your story. Let the country hear what happened to you and why." Maya's eyes went wide. "Testify before Congress. It's voluntary, completely your choice. But your voice could make a real difference. It could help pass legislation to protect students like you, to hold schools accountable, to ensure that what happened at Oakwood Academy never happens again." Maya looked at her mother, then at her grandmother. "I'll do it." "Are you sure it won't be easy? You'll face questions, challenges, people who want to discredit you." "I've faced that my whole life." Maya's voice was steady. "At least this time, I'll be facing it for a reason." Senator Warren smiled. It transformed her stern face into something almost warm. "Your mother raised a remarkable young woman." "She learned from the best," Commander Thompson said. At noon, the first arrest came. Principal Douglas Crawford was taken into custody at his home charged with fraud conspiracy and civil rights violations. The footage aired on every network. Crawford in handcuffs, his wife sobbing on the porch, neighbors watching from their yards. 1 hour later, the second arrest. Councilman Richard Whitmore was detained at his office surrounded by federal agents. The charges were extensive: fraud, bribery, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and a new charge that sent shockwaves through the political establishment: money laundering connected to foreign military contracts. Whitmore's empire was crumbling, and he was taking everyone down with him. At 2 o'clock, Maya faced the hardest moment of the day. She had agreed to meet with some of her former classmates, students who wanted to apologize, students who wanted to understand. They gathered at a community center neutral ground arranged by Commander Thompson's team. 12 students showed up. Most of them had been part of the mob that tormented Maya. Now they sat in folding chairs, unable to meet her eyes. Maya stood before them. "I'm not here to make you feel guilty," she began. "I'm here because some of you asked to talk, and I think talking is better than silence." A girl named Brittany spoke first. "Maya, I'm so sorry. I shared that hashtag. I laughed at the memes. I never thought about how it felt for you." "It felt terrible," Maya said simply. "Every day was a nightmare. But you know what hurt the most? It wasn't the insults or the vandalism. It was the silence. All the people who saw what was happening and said nothing. Did nothing." Another student, Marcus, shifted in his seat. "I wanted to say something, but I was scared. Tyler's dad was powerful. I didn't want to become a target too." "I understand that. Fear is real, but fear is also a choice." Maya looked at each of them in turn. "You chose to protect yourselves instead of doing what was right. I'm not saying I blame you. I'm saying you need to understand the cost of that choice." "What can we do now?" Brittany asked. "To make it right." "You can't make it right. What happened, happened. But you can do better. Next time you see someone being bullied, speak up. Next time you see injustice, say something. Next time you have a choice between safety and integrity, choose integrity." She paused. "My mother is a Navy SEAL. She's been in combat. She's faced death. And she always says that the hardest battles aren't fought with weapons. They're fought with choices. Every day we choose who we want to be. Every day we decide whether to be brave or to be cowards." Maya straightened. "I choose to be brave, even when it hurts, even when I'm scared, even when everyone's against me." She looked at her classmates. "What do you choose?" The silence stretched. Then Marcus stood up. "I choose to do better. I don't know if I can be as brave as you, but I can try." One by one, the others stood as well. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation. But it was a start. At 4 o'clock, Maya received a call she never expected. It was from Tyler Whitmore. "Maya, can we talk?" She almost hung up. Everything he had done to her was still fresh. The cafeteria, humiliation, the hashtag, the text message telling her to kill herself. But something in his voice stopped her. "What do you want?" "To apologize. Really apologize. Not the weak stuff I said yesterday. I mean, really explain and really ask for your forgiveness, even though I don't deserve it." "I'm listening." Tyler took a shaky breath. "My whole life I've been my father's son. Everything I did was to make him proud. Every cruel word, every heartless act, I told myself it was just how the world worked. That the strong survive and the weak get crushed. That's not an excuse. I know. There is no excuse. But I want you to understand that I wasn't just being evil for fun. I was being evil because I didn't know any other way to be." Maya was quiet. "When I saw you in the cafeteria holding up that coin refusing to break, something shifted in me. I realized that you had something I never had. Strength that didn't come from tearing others down. Courage that didn't need an audience." "Tyler, let me finish, please." His voice cracked. "After I testified against my father, after I gave the FBI everything, I felt free. For the first time in my life, I wasn't carrying his expectations. I wasn't trying to be what he wanted. I was just me." "And who is that?" "I don't know yet, but I want to find out." Tyler paused. "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking to be friends. I'm just asking for a chance to prove that people can change. That I can change." Maya thought about her mother's words, about courage, about choices. "Prove it," she said finally. "What?" "Prove that you've changed. Not with words, with actions. Show me and everyone else that Tyler Whitmore isn't his father's son anymore. Then we can talk about what comes next." "I will. I promise." "Don't promise me. Promises are easy. Do it." She hung up. Her grandmother was watching from the doorway. That was a hard thing to do. Talking to him. Giving him a chance, after everything. Maya nodded. "Mom always says that redemption is possible for anyone who truly wants it. I don't know if Tyler truly wants it, but I know I'll regret it if I don't at least leave the door open." Martha smiled. "Your mama raised you right." "You both did." At 6 o'clock, the evening news brought another bombshell. Mrs. Patricia Hartwell had agreed to become a cooperating witness. In exchange for a reduced sentence, she would testify against Councilman Whitmore Principal Crawford and everyone else involved in the conspiracy. But more than that, she had written a public letter. The news anchor read excerpts on air. "To Maya Thompson and her family, I am deeply sorry for the harm I caused. There is no excuse for my actions. I allowed my personal bitterness and prejudice to poison my professional responsibilities. I became the kind of teacher I always despised." The anchor continued. "I targeted Maya not because of anything she did, but because of who her mother was and what her mother represented. I let my hatred for Commander Thompson for exposing my son's failures turn me into a monster. I took out my pain on an innocent child, and I will carry that shame for the rest of my life." Maya watched the broadcast in silence. The truth Maya told about her mother was exactly that, the truth. Commander Denise Thompson is a genuine American hero, and her daughter showed more courage in 3 days than I have shown in 30 years. I can only hope that someday Maya will find it in her heart to forgive me, but I do not expect it. I do not deserve it. The letter ended with a single line. To all the students I have taught over the years, learn from my mistakes. Choose love over hate. Choose truth over lies. Choose to be better than I was. It's never too late to change. I just wish I had learned that lesson sooner. Commander Thompson turned off the television. "How do you feel?" she asked Maya. "I don't know." Maya stared at the blank screen. "Part of me wants to hate her forever. Part of me feels sorry for her. And part of me—" She trailed off. "Part of you what?" "Part of me is grateful, because without her cruelty, none of this would have come to light. All that corruption, all those lies, they would have stayed buried. And other kids would have suffered the way I did." Commander Thompson pulled her daughter close. "You have a generous heart, baby. Don't ever lose that." At 8 o'clock, Maya stood on her grandmother's porch, looking up at the stars. So much had changed in such a short time. 4 days ago, she had been a girl nobody believed. Now the whole country knew her name. Her phone buzzed, a text from a number she didn't recognize. "Maya, this is Jessica Palmer. I testified today, told them everything I heard, wanted you to know you're not alone. Others are coming forward. You started something." Maya smiled. She started something. She thought about her essay, about the words she had written about her mother. "My mother taught me that being a hero isn't about what you look like or where you come from. It's about what you do when everything is hard, when everyone says you can't, when the whole world wants you to quit." Maya had done that. She had stood up when everyone wanted her to sit down. She had spoken truth when everyone called her a liar. She had kept fighting when everyone expected her to break. And now, because of her courage, the world was changing. Not just at Oakwood Academy, everywhere. At 9:30, Commander Thompson found Maya still on the porch. "You should get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be another long day." "I know. I just needed a minute." Commander Thompson sat beside her daughter. "I've been in a lot of battles," she said quietly. "Seen a lot of courage. But what you did these past few days, that's the bravest thing I've ever witnessed." "Really? Really? Because physical courage is one thing. You see a threat, you respond. Training takes over. But moral courage, standing up for what's right when the whole world is against you, that's something else entirely. That's rare. That's precious." Maya leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. "I learned it from you." "No, baby. I think you came into this world with it. I just helped you remember it was there." They sat in silence for a while, watching the stars. "Mom?" "Yes. After all this is over, the investigations, the trials, the testimony, what happens then?" Commander Thompson considered the question. "Then we rebuild. Oakwood Academy will need new leadership, the community will need healing, and you—" She smiled. "You'll go back to being a normal teenager. School, friends, worrying about homework and crushes and all the things 16-year-olds are supposed to worry about." "That sounds nice?" "It does." Commander Thompson kissed the top of her daughter's head. "But first we finish what we started. We make sure everyone responsible faces justice. We make sure this never happens again, not at Oakwood, not anywhere. And then we live, baby. We live the life we've earned. Together." Maya closed her eyes. For the first time in days, she felt something like peace. The storm wasn't over yet. There were still battles to fight, truths to tell, justice to claim. But for now, in this moment, she was exactly where she needed to be. Safe. Loved. Believed. And that was enough. 2 weeks later, Maya Thompson walked into the United States Senate building with her mother on one side and her grandmother on the other. The hallways stretched endlessly ahead of her. People in suits rushed past. Cameras flashed from every corner. Her name echoed in whispers that followed her like shadows. "You ready for this?" Commander Thompson asked. Maya's hands were trembling, but her voice was steady. "No, but I'm going to do it anyway." "That's my girl." Senator Warren met them at the entrance to the hearing room at 8:45. "Maya, before we go in, I want to prepare you. There will be senators who support you, but there will also be senators who have been pressured by Whitmore's allies. They're going to try to discredit you, attack your credibility, make you doubt yourself." "I've been doubted my whole life," Maya said. "I know how to handle it." Senator Warren smiled. "I believe you do. But remember, you're not alone in there. Your mother will be right behind you, and the truth is on your side." The doors opened. The hearing room was packed. Reporters filled every available seat. Cameras lined the walls. At the center, a long table faced a curved platform where the senators sat. Maya walked to her seat, feeling the weight of every eye in the room. Senator Warren called the hearing to order at 9 o'clock sharp. "We are here today to examine systemic failures in our educational institutions and the corruption that allowed those failures to persist. Our first witness is Maya Thompson, a 16-year-old student whose courage exposed a network of fraud, abuse, and civil rights violations at Oakwood Academy." She turned to Maya. "Miss Thompson, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." "Please state your name for the record." "Maya Denise Thompson." "Miss Thompson, in your own words, please tell us what happened." Maya took a breath. She thought about her essay, about Mrs. Hartwell's red pen, about Tyler's hashtag, about the kick that had left bruises on her ribs. Then she began to speak. 3 weeks ago, I wrote an essay about my mother. I wrote that she was a Navy SEAL commander, that she was my hero, that she had served this country with honor and courage. Her voice filled the chamber, clear and unwavering. "My teacher, Mrs. Patricia Hartwell, called me a liar. She wrote that word on my essay in red ink and held it up for the whole class to see. She encouraged other students to mock me, harass me, vandalize my property. And when I refused to back down, when I insisted on telling the truth, she kicked me." Gasps rippled through the audience. But the abuse I suffered wasn't random. It wasn't just one teacher's prejudice. As the investigation revealed, it was part of a coordinated campaign. Councilman Richard Whitmore paid Mrs. Hartwell to target me. Principal Douglas Crawford covered it up. And for 3 years they worked together to make my life a living hell, all because my mother once held Whitmore's allies accountable for their crimes. Maya looked directly at the senators. "I'm here today because I want the country to know what happened, not for revenge, not for attention, but because somewhere out there right now, there's another girl like me. A girl being called a liar for telling the truth. A girl being punished for who her family is. A girl who feels alone and scared and powerless." She paused. "I want that girl to know that she's not alone, that the truth matters, that courage matters, and that even when the whole world is against you, standing up for what's right is always worth it." The chamber was silent. Then Senator Warren spoke. "Thank you, Miss Thompson. We will now open the floor to questions." The first senator to speak was James Morrison from Alabama. His face was sympathetic, his questions gentle. "Miss Thompson, can you describe the moment you realized the harassment wasn't going to stop?" Maya nodded. "It was when I found my locker vandalized for the 3rd time. Someone had spray-painted the words "Hood Rat" across the door. I knew then that this wasn't just kids being mean. This was systematic, organized, and there was nothing I could do to stop it by myself." "And what gave you the strength to keep going?" "My mother. My grandmother. The memory of everything my mom had sacrificed for this country." Maya's voice cracked slightly. "And honestly, stubbornness. I refused to let them win. I refuse to let them turn my truth into a lie." Senator Morrison smiled. "Thank you, Miss Thompson. Your courage is an inspiration." But the next senator was different. Senator Robert Hayes from Texas leaned forward with a cold expression. He was a known ally of Whitmore's political network, and everyone in the room knew it. "Miss Thompson," he began, his voice dripping with false concern, "I have some questions about inconsistencies in your account." Commander Thompson tensed behind Maya. "You claim your mother is a Navy SEAL commander. Yet for 3 years, you never provided proof to your school. Isn't it true that you could have ended this conflict at any time by simply having your mother verify her identity?" Maya met his gaze. "My mother's work as classified senator. She couldn't just walk into a school and announce her position. That would have compromised operational security." "Convenient?" "True." Hayes shuffled his papers. "You also claim that Mrs. Hartwell kicked you, yet the only witnesses were students who have since changed their stories multiple times. How do we know this assault actually occurred?" "There's video evidence, Senator, recorded by Tyler Whitmore himself." "Tyler Whitmore, the son of the man you're accusing of conspiracy, a young man who has every reason to fabricate evidence against his own father." Maya felt anger rising but kept her voice level. "Tyler didn't fabricate anything. He recorded Mrs. Hartwell kicking me because he thought it would be entertainment. He didn't expect his own footage to become evidence." Hayes pressed on. "Isn't it possible, Miss Thompson, that you exaggerated your claims for attention? That you saw an opportunity to turn a schoolyard conflict into a national scandal?" "No." "Isn't it possible that you manipulated Tyler Whitmore into betraying his father, that you used his emotional vulnerability against him?" "No." "Isn't it possible that Commander Thompson, your mother, orchestrated this entire situation to advance her own career and settle old scores?" Maya's hands clenched under the table. "Senator Hayes, my mother didn't orchestrate anything. She responded to a crisis. Her daughter was being assaulted and harassed, and she did what any parent would do: she protected her child. By flying in on a military helicopter and threatening a schoolteacher. By arriving when she was needed and demanding accountability from people who had escaped it for years." Hayes opened his mouth to continue, but Senator Warren interrupted. "Senator Hayes, I remind you that this is a fact-finding hearing, not a cross-examination. Miss Thompson is here as a witness, not a defendant." "I'm simply trying to establish the truth, Madam Chair." "Then perhaps you should listen to the witness instead of interrogating her." Hayes sat back, his face red with suppressed anger. But Maya wasn't done. "Senator Hayes," she said, and her voice carried through the chamber with unexpected force. "I know why you're attacking me. I know who your donors are. I know which political networks you belong to. And I know that Councilman Whitmore's allies have been pressuring you to discredit me." Hayes's face went pale. "I'm 16 years old. I don't have money or power or political connections. All I have is the truth. And the truth is that I was targeted, harassed, and assaulted because powerful people wanted to hurt my mother. The truth is that Oakwood Academy was a corrupt institution that stole from children and covered up crimes. The truth is that everyone who participated in this conspiracy should face justice, including anyone who tries to obstruct that justice now." She looked directly at Hayes. "So please, Senator, keep asking your questions. Keep trying to discredit me. Because every time you do, you show the American people exactly who you really are." The chamber erupted. Reporters shouted questions. Senators banged gavels. The audience burst into applause that took several minutes to quiet. When order was finally restored, Senator Warren was smiling. "I think Miss Thompson has made her point. We will take a 15-minute recess." During the break, Commander Thompson pulled Maya aside at 10:20. "That was incredible, baby. But are you okay?" "I'm angry." Maya's hands were still shaking. "He was trying to make me the villain, after everything I went through. That's what corrupt people do. They can't defeat the truth, so they attack the messenger." "Did I go too far calling him out like that?" Commander Thompson smiled. You went exactly far enough. Hayes has been protecting Whitmore for years. Now everyone knows it. Harold Jenkins appeared beside them, dressed in an unfamiliar suit that didn't quite fit. Mr. Jenkins? Maya embraced him. I didn't know you were here. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Jenkins's eyes were bright. You did good in there, young lady. Real good. I couldn't have done any of this without you. All I did was keep records. You're the one who had the courage to speak up. He patted her shoulder. Your mama would be proud. Both your mamas. Commander Thompson raised an eyebrow. Both. Jenkins glanced at Martha Thompson, who had just joined them. This one raised you right, Commander, and she raised your daughter right too. That's a legacy worth more than any medal. Martha smiled. Thank you, Harold. Just speaking the truth, ma'am. That's what this whole thing is about, isn't it? The hearing resumed at 10:40. This time the questions were different. Senator after senator expressed support for Maya. They asked about reforms needed to prevent similar abuses. They discussed legislation to protect students. They praised her courage. But there was one more surprise waiting. At 11:15, Senator Warren announced an unexpected witness. The committee calls Tyler Whitmore. Maya's heart stopped. She hadn't known Tyler would be here, hadn't prepared to face him again. Tyler walked into the chamber looking like he hadn't slept in days. His clothes were rumpled, his eyes were haunted. But when he sat down at the witness table, his voice was clear. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Senator Warren began. Mr. Whitmore, please state for the record your relationship to Councilman Richard Whitmore. He's my father, and you have agreed to testify against him in these proceedings. Yes. Can you tell us why? Tyler took a deep breath. Because he's guilty. Because everything Maya Thompson said is true. And because I was part of it. The chamber went silent. For 3 years, my father instructed me to make Maya's life difficult. He told me she was a threat to our family. That her mother had enemies who wanted to hurt us. That the best way to protect ourselves was to destroy Maya before she could destroy us. Tyler's voice shook, but he kept going. I didn't question it. I didn't think about what I was doing. I just followed orders like the good son I was supposed to be. I bullied her. I humiliated her. I organized campaigns against her, and I told her to kill herself. Gasps echoed through the room. That text message haunts me every single day. I wake up thinking about it. I go to sleep thinking about it. I almost drove a 16-year-old girl to suicide because my father told me she was the enemy. Tears streamed down Tyler's face. But Maya didn't break. She didn't quit. She stood up in front of the whole school and told the truth even when everyone, including me, called her a liar. And that's when I realized something. He looked at Maya. She had something I didn't. Integrity. Real integrity. The kind you can't fake or buy or inherit. The kind you can only earn by doing the right thing even when it costs you everything. Tyler turned back to the senators. My father taught me that power is everything, that winning is all that matters, that people like Maya Thompson are obstacles to be crushed. But he was wrong. People like Maya are the reason this country is worth fighting for. They're the conscience we've lost. They're the courage we've forgotten. He wiped his eyes. I can't undo what I did. I can't unsend that text message. I can't unhurt Maya or her family. But I can make sure the truth comes out. I can testify against my father. I can help bring down the corrupt system he built. And I can spend the rest of my life trying to be the kind of person Maya Thompson thought I could become. Senator Warren spoke gently. Mr. Whitmore, are you aware that your testimony may result in your father's imprisonment? Yes. And you're willing to proceed? Tyler looked at his hands for a long moment. My father told me once that family loyalty is everything, that you never betray your own blood. And for a long time I believed him. He looked up. But loyalty to what? Loyalty to lies. Loyalty to corruption. Loyalty to a man who used his own son as a weapon against a child. Tyler shook his head. That's not loyalty. That's complicity. And I'm done being complicit. Senator Hayes tried to intervene. Madam Chair, this witness is clearly emotional and unreliable. His testimony should be heard. Senator Warren cut him off. Just as Ms. Thompson's testimony was heard, the committee will make its own judgments about credibility. She turned back to Tyler. Mr. Whitmore, do you have any additional evidence to present? Yes. Tyler pulled out a flash drive. This contains recordings of conversations between my father and various officials, emails documenting bribes, financial records showing illegal payments, everything. He handed it to an aide. My father taught me to always have insurance, to always keep leverage. He never thought I'd use it against him. The hearing continued until 1 o'clock. By the time it ended, the damage was catastrophic for Whitmore's network. 3 more senators had been implicated in the conspiracy. 2 corporate executives had been named as co-conspirators. And the full scope of the corruption at Oakwood Academy had been laid bare for the entire country to see. Maya walked out of the hearing room feeling drained but victorious. Tyler caught up with her at 1:15. Maya, wait. She stopped but didn't turn around. I meant what I said in there. Every word. I know. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to make this right. Maya finally turned to face him. Prove it. I will. Not to me. To everyone else you hurt. To every person your family's corruption damaged. To the students whose scholarships were stolen. To the families whose kids suffered because of your father's greed. Tyler nodded. You're right. It's not just about you and me. It's about all of them. Then start there, and maybe someday we can talk about forgiveness. She walked away, but something in her heart had shifted. She didn't trust Tyler, not yet. Maybe not ever, but she believed he wanted to change. And sometimes that was enough to start. The afternoon brought more chaos. At 2:30, news broke that Senator Hayes was resigning effective immediately. The recordings Tyler had provided showed Hayes accepting bribes from Whitmore's network. His political career was over. By 3 o'clock, federal marshals had arrested 2 more Oakwood Academy board members. By 4 o'clock, the Department of Education had announced a nationwide audit of schools receiving federal funding. By 5 o'clock, Maya Thompson's name was trending worldwide. She sat in her hotel room watching the coverage with her mother and grandmother. This is insane, she said. I just wanted to write about my mom. Sometimes the smallest stones start the biggest avalanches, Martha said. Commander Thompson's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and her expression changed. What is it? Maya asked. The president wants to meet you. The president of what? Of the United States, baby. Maya's jaw dropped. The White House just called. Tomorrow morning. The president wants to personally thank you for your courage. Maya looked at her grandmother, then at her mother. I need a minute. She walked into the bathroom and closed the door. In the mirror, she saw a 16-year-old girl with tired eyes and tangled hair. A girl who had been called a liar. A girl who had been kicked and humiliated and told she didn't belong. A girl who had refused to quit. You did it, she whispered to her reflection. You actually did it. She thought about Mrs. Hartwell's red pen, about the word liar written across her essay. She thought about Tyler's hashtag, about the cafeteria full of mocking voices. She thought about the spray paint on her locker, about the text message telling her to kill herself. And she thought about standing in that hearing room telling her truth to the entire nation. You did it. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not tears of sadness. Tears of release, of relief, of something that might have been joy. She had done it. She had told the truth. And the truth had won. A knock on the bathroom door. Baby, you okay in there? Maya wiped her eyes and opened the door. I'm okay, Mom. I'm better than okay. Commander Thompson pulled her into a hug. I'm so proud of you, so incredibly proud. I learned from the best. Martha joined them, wrapping her arms around both of them. 3 generations of Thompson women standing together, survivors, warriors, truth-tellers. So, Martha said finally, what does one wear to meet the president? Maya laughed. It was the first real laugh she had managed in weeks, and it felt like freedom. At 7 o'clock that evening, Maya received one more unexpected visitor. There was a knock at the hotel room door. Commander Thompson answered it, then stepped back in surprise. Patricia Hartwell stood in the hallway. She looked nothing like the woman who had terrorized Maya for 3 years. Her face was drawn. Her eyes were hollow. The Blue Star Mother pin was gone. Commander Thompson, please, I need to speak with Maya. Commander Thompson's face hardened. Absolutely not. Please, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to... Hartwell's voice broke. I'm here to apologize. Really apologize. Not for the lawyers, not for the press. For me. Maya appeared behind her mother. Let her in. Maya. I want to hear what she has to say. Commander Thompson hesitated, then stepped aside. Hartwell entered the room slowly, as if expecting to be thrown out at any moment. She stood in front of Maya, hands clasped, eyes on the floor. I don't know where to begin. The beginning is usually good. Hartwell almost smiled. Almost. When I started teaching 30 years ago, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to help children. I wanted to be the teacher who changed lives. She paused. Somewhere along the way, I lost that. I became bitter, angry, resentful of everyone who had what I didn't. What didn't you have? A child who loved me, a career I could be proud of, a reason to believe that any of it mattered. Hartwell's voice cracked. When my son was discharged, when your mother signed those papers, I blamed her. I blamed you. I blamed everyone except Kyle and myself. So you took it out on a 16-year-old girl? Yes. Hartwell met Maya's eyes for the first time. And I will never forgive myself for that. Never. Then why are you here? Because I needed you to see me. Not the monster in the hearing room. Not the villain on the news. Me. Patricia Hartwell. A broken woman who did terrible things and is finally trying to face what she's done. Maya was quiet for a long moment. I used to hate you, she said finally. I used to lie awake at night, thinking about all the things I would say to you if I got the chance. All the ways I would make you hurt, the way you made me hurt. Hartwell flinched. But then I realized something. Hating you was giving you power over me. And you'd already taken enough. Maya, I don't forgive you. I may never forgive you. What you did to me left scars that will never fully heal. Hartwell's shoulders slumped. But I don't hate you anymore. You're just a sad, broken person who made terrible choices, and I refuse to let your choices define the rest of my life. Maya stepped closer. So here's what I want you to do. Go back to your cell, serve your time, and when you get out, spend every day trying to be the teacher you wanted to be 30 years ago. Help kids instead of hurting them. Build instead of destroy. You think that's possible? I think anything is possible for someone who truly wants to change. Maya paused. But wanting isn't enough. You have to do the work, every single day, for the rest of your life. Hartwell nodded slowly. Thank you, Maya. Thank you for not destroying me the way I tried to destroy you. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. Because the person I want to be doesn't hold on to hatred. She lets it go and moves forward. Hartwell turned to leave, then stopped. Your mother really is a hero, you know. Not because of the medals or the missions, because she raised a daughter like you. She walked out. Commander Thompson closed the door behind her. That was incredibly generous, baby. No, it was necessary. Maya sat down heavily. I couldn't carry that hatred anymore. It was too heavy. You're wise beyond your years. I'm exhausted beyond my years. Maya managed a weak smile. Can we order room service? I don't think I can handle one more surprise today. Room service it is. But Maya was wrong about no more surprises. Because the next morning when she walked into the Oval Office, the president wasn't the only one waiting to greet her. Standing beside the president's desk in full dress uniform was a face Maya recognized from photographs. Admiral James Morrison, Chief of Naval Operations, the highest-ranking officer in the United States Navy, and Maya's grandfather. The father Commander Thompson hadn't spoken to in 20 years. The room went very, very still. Commander Denise Thompson stood frozen in the doorway of the Oval Office, staring at the man she hadn't seen in 2 decades. Admiral James Morrison looked older than she remembered. His hair had gone completely white. His face was lined with years of command and sacrifice, but his eyes were the same, sharp, assessing, and filled with something she had never seen before. Regret. "Denise," he said. His voice cracked on her name. Maya looked between them, confusion written across her face. "Mom? Who is this?" Commander Thompson didn't answer. She couldn't. 20 years of anger and hurt and silence pressed against her chest like a physical weight. The president stepped forward, sensing the tension. "Commander Thompson, I apologize. I wasn't aware of the family situation. Admiral Morrison requested to be here when I informed him about the ceremony. I should have consulted you first." "Ceremony?" Maya asked. "We'll discuss that in a moment." The president looked at Commander Thompson. "Would you like me to ask the admiral to leave?" Every instinct told Denise to say yes, to protect Maya from the man who had abandoned them, to guard her heart the way she had guarded it for 20 years. But Maya spoke first. "No, I want to know who he is." Commander Thompson closed her eyes. When she opened them, her voice was steady but cold. "Maya, this is Admiral James Morrison. He's my father, your grandfather." Maya's eyes went wide. "My grandfather? But you told me." "I told you he was gone. And he was. He chose to be gone." Admiral Morrison flinched. "Denise, please, let me explain." "Explain what? How you disowned me for getting pregnant at 18. How you called Maya a mistake that would ruin my career. How you gave me an ultimatum, give up my baby or give up my family." The words hung in the air like weapons. Maya felt her world tilt. "He wanted you to give me up." Commander Thompson's jaw tightened. "Yes. And you chose me. I would choose you 1,000 times over." Commander Thompson's voice softened. "You were never a mistake, baby. Never." Admiral Morrison stepped forward. "I was wrong. I was so wrong, Denise. I spent 20 years regretting what I did, watching your career from a distance, hearing about your accomplishments, knowing I had no right to be proud of the daughter I abandoned. Then why are you here now?" "Because of her." Morrison looked at Maya. "Because I watched her testimony. I saw her courage, and I saw you in her the same fire, the same integrity, the same refusal to back down." His voice broke. "I saw what I threw away, and I couldn't let another day pass without trying to make it right." Commander Thompson laughed bitterly. "Make it right? You can't make 20 years right with an apology." "I know, but I can try." Morrison reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "I've been carrying this for 15 years, waiting for the courage to give it to you." He opened the box. Inside was a medal. The Navy Cross. Commander Thompson's Navy Cross, the one she had earned on a mission in Afghanistan, the one she had never received because the ceremony had been classified. "You kept it," she whispered. "I was supposed to present it to you, but you refused to see me. So I kept it, waiting for the day when you might let me give you what you earned." Commander Thompson stared at the medal. Her eyes glistened. "Why now? Why today?" "Because today, Your daughter is going to receive the highest civilian honor the president can give. And I thought, Morrison's voice cracked again. I thought maybe just this once we could stand together as a family, the way we should have stood together all along. Maya watched her mother's face, watched the war between anger and longing, watched 20 years of pain struggle against the possibility of healing. Mom, she said quietly, it's okay. Commander Thompson looked at her daughter. I'm not saying you have to forgive him. I'm not saying everything's okay. But maybe... Maya paused. Maybe today can be a beginning, not an ending. Commander Thompson was silent for a long moment. Then she looked at her father. You broke my heart. You broke my mother's heart. You missed Maya's entire childhood. I know. I don't know if I can forgive you. I understand. But Maya's right. Commander Thompson took a breath. Today is about new beginnings, so for today, just for today, we can try. Admiral Morrison's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Denise. Thank you. The president cleared his throat gently. If I may, I believe we have a ceremony to conduct. The ceremony took place at 9:30 in the Oval Office. Maya stood before the President of the United States, her mother on one side, her grandmother on the other, and behind them, for the first time in 20 years, Admiral James Morrison stood with his family. Maya Thompson. The President began. 3 weeks ago, you wrote an essay about your mother. You called her a hero. You said she taught you that being a hero isn't about what you look like or where you come from, it's about what you do when everything is hard. Maya knotted her throat tight. What you didn't know then was that you were already proving those words with your actions. In the face of cruelty and injustice, you stood your ground. In the face of corruption and lies, you told the truth. And in the face of a system designed to silence you, you found your voice. The president picked up a medal from his desk. It is my honor to present you with the Presidential Citizens Medal, the second highest civilian honor our nation can bestow. This medal recognizes individuals who have performed exemplary deeds of service for their country or their fellow citizens. He placed the medal around Maya's neck. Maya Thompson, you have shown the American people what courage looks like. You have reminded us that truth is worth fighting for, and you have inspired a generation of young people to believe that one voice can change the world. Maya looked down at the medal, then up at the president. Thank you, sir. But I didn't do this alone. My mother taught me everything I know about courage. My grandmother held me together when I wanted to fall apart. And even the people who hurt me, they taught me something too. What did they teach you? That the only way to defeat lies is with truth. The only way to defeat hate is with love. And the only way to defeat silence is by speaking up even when your voice shakes. The president smiled. Wise words for someone so young. I had good teachers. After the ceremony, Maya asked to speak with her grandfather alone. They walked through the White House halls at 10:15 Secret Service agents, trailing at a discreet distance. You wanted to give me up, Maya said without preamble. Admiral Morrison nodded heavily. I did. I was a fool. Why? Because I was so focused on your mother's career that I couldn't see what really mattered. I had plans for her, expectations, and a baby born out of wedlock to a father who disappeared that didn't fit those plans. So you threw her away. I threw both of you away. The biggest mistake of my life. Maya stopped walking. I grew up without a grandfather, without half my family. Do you know what that's like? To see other kids with grandparents who loved them, who spoiled them, who showed up for their birthday parties and school plays. I can't imagine. No, you can't. Maya's voice was sharp. Because you chose not to be there. You chose your pride over your daughter. Over me. Admiral Morrison said nothing. There was nothing to say. But here's the thing. Maya's voice softened. I've learned something these past few weeks. People can change. Not everyone, not easily, but it's possible. She looked at him directly. My mom hasn't forgiven you. I'm not sure she ever will. But I'm not my mom. And I get to make my own choices. What does that mean? It means I'm willing to give you a chance. One chance. Not for you, for me. Because I don't want to spend my life carrying anger the way you spent yours carrying pride. Admiral Morrison's eyes widened. You're giving me a chance. I'm giving you an opportunity to prove you've changed. Show up. Be present. Support my mom even when it's hard. And maybe over time we can build something. I will. I swear I will. Don't swear to me. Swear to her. Maya pointed back toward the room where her mother waited. She's the one you hurt. She's the one who needs to see that you're different. Admiral Morrison nodded slowly. You really are remarkable. Do you know that I'm my mother's daughter? Maya almost smiled. And apparently, I'm your granddaughter too. So I guess stubbornness runs in the family. At 11 o'clock, the family returned to Virginia. But not to Maya's grandmother's house. Not yet. They went to Oakwood Academy. The school was transformed. Police tape was gone. Construction crews worked on repairs. A new sign hung over the entrance, Oakwood Academy under new management. And waiting at the front steps were the people who had stood by Maya through everything. Harold Jenkins dressed in his best suit, beaming with pride. Jessica Palmer, the student who had finally found her courage. Miss Chen, the art teacher, who had spoken up when others stayed silent. And Tyler Whitmore standing apart from the others, uncertain whether he belonged. Maya walked toward them with her family behind her. Mr. Jenkins? She hugged him tight. None of this would have happened without you. Nonsense. I just kept records. You're the one who had the courage to speak. We both know that's not true. Maya pulled back and looked at him. You believed me when no one else did. You protected me when no one else would. That's not nothing. That's everything. Jenkins wiped his eyes. You're going to make an old man cry. You deserve to cry happy tears for once. Maya moved to Jessica. Thank you for coming forward. I know it wasn't easy. It should have been easier, Jessica said. I should have said something sooner. You said something when it mattered. That's what counts. Then Maya turned to Tyler. He stood stiffly, hands in his pockets, eyes on the ground. Tyler. He looked up. You came. I didn't know if I should. After everything. You testified. You gave up your family. You risked everything to tell the truth. Maya paused. You earned the right to be here. Tyler's eyes glistened. I don't deserve your kindness, Maya. Probably not, but I'm giving it anyway. She extended her hand. Fresh start. Tyler stared at her hand for a long moment. Then he took it. Fresh start. The new principal arrived at 11:30. Her name was Dr. Angela Davis. No relation to the famous activist, but with the same fire in her eyes. She was the first black woman to lead Oakwood Academy in its 100-year history. Miss Thompson, she said, shaking Maya's hand, it's an honor to meet you. The honor is mine, Dr. Davis. What are your plans for the school? Complete transformation, new policies, new oversight, zero tolerance for bullying or discrimination, Dr. Davis smiled. We're naming the new scholarship fund after you, the Maya Thompson Courage Scholarship. It will go to students who demonstrate integrity in the face of adversity. Maya felt tears spring to her eyes. You don't have to do that. We want to. This school owes you more than we can ever repay. The least we can do is make sure your story inspires others for generations to come. Commander Thompson stepped forward. What about the students who were affected by the grade manipulation, the scholarships that were stolen? We're reviewing every record from the past 10 years. Any student who was unfairly denied will receive full restitution. We've already identified 23 cases. We expect to find more. And the faculty? Anyone connected to the corruption is gone. We've hired new teachers, diverse, qualified, committed to our students' well-being. Dr. Davis looked at Miss Chen. Some of the good ones are staying, of course. The ones who tried to do the right thing. Miss Chen smiled. Thank you for the opportunity to help rebuild. Thank you for your courage in speaking up when it mattered. At noon, Maya asked to visit her old classroom. Room 214. The place where everything had started. She walked in alone, her footsteps echoing in the empty space. The desks were the same. The whiteboard was the same. But something had changed. On the wall where Mrs. Hartwell's Blue Star Mother placard used to hang there, was now a framed copy of Maya's essay. The original essay. The one Mrs. Hartwell had branded with the word, liar. Someone had carefully taped it back together. And beneath it a small plaque read, "The truth always wins. Maya Thompson." Maya stood there for a long time staring at those words. She thought about the girl who had written that essay 3 weeks ago. A girl who just wanted to honor her mother. A girl who had no idea what was coming. That girl was gone now. In her place stood someone different, someone stronger, someone who had walked through fire and emerged transformed. "You did it," she whispered to herself. "You actually did it." Her mother appeared in the doorway. "Ready to go?" Maya took one last look at the essay on the wall. "Yeah, I'm ready." The family gathered for lunch at Martha Thompson's house at 1 o'clock. It was the first time in 20 years that all 4 generations were together. Martha, Admiral Morrison, Commander Thompson, and Maya. The tension was palpable at first. Years of silence and hurt couldn't be erased in a single morning. But slowly, cautiously, conversations began. Admiral Morrison told stories about young Denise, her stubbornness, her determination, her refusal to accept limits. She was climbing trees when other girls were playing with dolls, he said, beating up boys twice her size when they picked on smaller kids. I should have known she would be a warrior. You should have supported her, Martha said quietly, instead of trying to control her. Morrison nodded. You're right. I was so focused on what I thought she should be that I couldn't see who she actually was. Commander Thompson spoke for the first time since they sat down. You know what hurt the most? It wasn't the ultimatum. It wasn't being cut off. It was that you never apologized. Not once in 20 years. I was too proud, too stubborn, too convinced that I was right. And now, Morrison looked at his daughter with tears in his eyes. Now I know I was wrong about everything. You didn't ruin your career by having Maya. You made it stronger. You became one of the most decorated officers in Navy history, and you raised a daughter who just received a medal from the President of the United States. He reached across the table and took Denise's hand. I'm sorry, Denise. I'm so deeply sorry. For everything. Commander Thompson stared at their joined hands. Then slowly she squeezed back. I can't forget what happened, but maybe I can learn to move past it. That's all I ask. At 3 o'clock, Maya received a text from Tyler. Turn on the news. She found the remote and switched on the television. A breaking news banner scrolled across the screen. Whitmore pleads guilty, faces 25 years. The reporter's voice filled the room. Councilman Richard Whitmore has pleaded guilty to charges of fraud, bribery, conspiracy, and civil rights violations. In a surprise move, Whitmore agreed to a plea deal that will see him serve a minimum of 25 years in federal prison. The screen showed footage of Whitmore being led from the courthouse in handcuffs. His face was gray, his shoulders slumped. He looked nothing like the powerful man who had terrorized an entire community. Sources say Whitmore's decision to plead guilty came after his son Tyler provided investigators with additional evidence, including recordings of Whitmore discussing plans to obstruct justice and intimidate witnesses. Maya's phone buzzed again. Tyler. It's over. He's going away for a long time. Maya. How do you feel? Tyler. Empty. Relieved. Sad. All of it. Maya. That's normal. You did the right thing, Tyler, even when it was hard. Tyler, I learned that from you. At 4 o'clock, the final piece of justice fell into place. Mrs. Patricia Hartwell was sentenced. Unlike Whitmore, she had fully cooperated with investigators. She had testified against everyone involved. She had written letters of apology to every student she had wronged. The judge took all of this into account. Mrs. Hartwell, you committed serious crimes. You abused your position of trust. You harmed children who looked to you for guidance. There must be consequences for these actions. Hartwell stood before the bench, her head bowed. However, I also recognize that you have shown genuine remorse. You have taken full responsibility for your actions, and you have cooperated extensively with this investigation. The judge paused. I sentence you to 5 years in federal prison with the possibility of parole after 3 years, followed by 10 years of probation during which you may not work with children in any capacity. Hartwell nodded. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't thank me. Thank the young woman whose life you nearly destroyed. It was her testimony about the importance of redemption that convinced me to show leniency. Hartwell looked at the courtroom where Maya sat with her mother. Their eyes met. Maya nodded once. Hartwell mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." Then she was led away. The sun was setting when Maya finally had a moment alone. She sat on her grandmother's porch at 6:30, watching the sky turn orange and pink and gold. So much had changed in 3 weeks. She had gone from a girl nobody believed to a girl the whole country knew. She had faced down corruption, survived abuse, and testified before Congress. She had met the president, received a medal, reconnected with a grandfather she never knew she had. And through it all, one thing had remained constant: her truth. Commander Thompson came out and sat beside her. How are you feeling? Tired, overwhelmed, grateful. Maya paused, and a little scared. Scared of what? What comes next? Everyone knows who I am now. I can't just go back to being a normal teenager. No, you can't. Commander Thompson put her arm around Maya. But that doesn't have to be a bad thing. You have a platform now, a voice. You can use it to help others. Is that what you want me to do? I want you to do whatever makes you happy, baby. Whether that's becoming an activist or a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher or anything else you can dream of. What if I want to be a Navy SEAL like you? Commander Thompson smiled. Then I'll be the proudest mother in the world. But you have time to decide. You're only 16. You have your whole life ahead of you. A life I almost didn't have. Maya thought about the text Tyler had sent her, the one telling her to kill herself. If I had given up, if I had believed their lies. But you didn't. You fought. You survived. You won. We won, Maya corrected. I couldn't have done it without you, Mom, without Grandma, without Mr. Jenkins and Jessica and even Tyler in the end. That's the secret they don't tell you about heroes, Commander Thompson said. We never work alone. Every hero has a team, a family, a community that supports them. Is that in the Navy SEAL handbook? It should be. They sat in comfortable silence watching the sunset. Finally, Maya spoke. I've been thinking about what I want to do next. Tell me. I want to start a foundation for kids like me. Kids who are bullied and harassed and told they don't belong. Kids who need someone to believe them. Commander Thompson's eyes brightened. That's a beautiful idea. I want to call it the Thompson Truth Foundation. Help kids find their voices, provide resources for families fighting back against corrupt institutions, make sure no one ever has to go through what I went through alone. You've really thought about this. I've had a lot of time to think these past few weeks. Maya smiled. And I figured if I'm going to be famous, I might as well use it for something good. Commander Thompson pulled her daughter close. I am so incredibly proud of you, Maya. Not because of the medal or the testimony or any of that. Because of who you are. Because of the person you've chosen to become. I learned from the best. No. Commander Thompson shook her head. You taught me. These past few weeks watching you stand up to everyone who tried to tear you down, you taught me what courage really looks like. You've faced terrorists and warlords. How is my courage more impressive than that? Because my battles had clear enemies, clear objectives, clear rules of engagement. Commander Thompson's voice was serious. Your battle was different. You faced an entire system designed to silence you. You fought against people who were supposed to protect you. And you did it without weapons or training or a team to back you up. She touched Maya's face. That's not just courage. That's something rarer. Something more precious. What is it? Integrity. True integrity. The kind that can't be bought or taught or faked. The kind you either have or you don't. Commander Thompson smiled. And you, my beautiful girl, have more of it than anyone I've ever known. At 8 o'clock, the whole family gathered one last time. Martha had made dinner. Admiral Morrison had brought wine, the good kind, from a vineyard he had visited years ago. Commander Thompson sat at the head of the table, looking more at peace than Maya had ever seen her. I'd like to propose a toast, Admiral Morrison said, raising his glass. To Maya Thompson, the bravest person in this room. Everyone raised their glasses. To Maya. Then Maya stood. I have a toast, too. To second chances. To new beginnings. To the family I never knew I had, and the family I've always known. She looked around the table. I spent my whole life thinking I was incomplete. Missing a grandfather. Missing half my history. But I've learned something these past few weeks. What's that, baby? Her grandmother asked. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them. It's about who believes in you when no one else does. It's about who fights for you even when the whole world is against you. Maya raised her glass. To the people in this room, my family, my team, my heroes, thank you for showing up. Thank you for believing. Thank you for fighting. Glasses clinked. Tears flowed. And for the first time in 20 years, the Thompson family was whole again. The next morning, Maya returned to school. Not to Oakwood Academy. Not yet. The school was still under reconstruction, still healing from everything that had happened. She went to visit the students who had been affected by the scandal, the ones whose grades had been manipulated, the ones whose scholarships had been stolen, the ones who had suffered in silence while corruption flourished. She met with them one by one. I know what it feels like, she told each of them. To be powerless, to be ignored, to have the system work against you. How did you survive? One girl asked. I told the truth, even when it hurt, even when no one believed me. I kept telling the truth until the world had no choice but to listen. What if the world never listens? Then you find people who will. You build your own support system. You refuse to be silenced. Maya paused. And you remember that you're not alone, even when it feels like you are. She spent hours with them, listening to their stories, sharing her own, building connections that would last long after the cameras were gone. And when she finally left, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Real hope. Not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been told they didn't matter. Everyone who had ever been called a liar for telling the truth. Everyone who had ever been kicked down and told to stay there. There was a better world coming. And Maya Thompson was going to help build it. The final scene of this chapter came at noon on a sunny Saturday. Maya stood before a crowd of students' parents and community members gathered on the front lawn of Oakwood Academy. Dr. Davis had organized a celebration, a new beginning for the school, a symbolic fresh start. Thank you all for coming, Dr. Davis said. Today marks a new chapter for Oakwood Academy, a chapter built on truth, integrity, and respect for every student who walks through our doors. She turned to Maya. And now, I'd like to introduce the young woman who made this day possible, Maya Thompson. Maya stepped to the microphone. She looked out at the crowd, saw her mother standing proud, her grandmother wiping tears, her grandfather still awkward, still uncertain, but present. Finally present. She saw Tyler in the back, standing alone, watching with eyes that held both shame and hope. She saw Harold Jenkins dressed in his Sunday best, beaming like a proud father. She saw teachers and students and parents who had been part of the problem, and others who had tried to be part of the solution. And she saw the future. A future where truth mattered, where courage was rewarded, where every child, regardless of color or background or circumstance, had a chance to be heard. 3 weeks ago, Maya began. I wrote an essay about my mother. I called her my hero, and I meant it. The crowd was silent, listening. But I've learned something since then. Heroes aren't just people who wear uniforms or earn medals. Heroes are ordinary people who choose to do extraordinary things. Teachers who stand up for their students. Janitors who keep records of injustice. Classmates who find their courage when it matters most. She paused. Even people who make terrible mistakes can become heroes if they're willing to change. If they're willing to face the truth about themselves. If they're willing to do the hard work of becoming better. Maya looked at Tyler. He held her gaze. I'm not special. I'm just a girl who refused to be silenced. And if I can do it, anyone can. She straightened. So here's my challenge to everyone listening. The next time you see injustice, speak up. The next time you see someone being bullied, step in. The next time you're faced with a choice between comfort and courage, choose courage. Her voice rang across the lawn. Because the world doesn't change by accident. It changes because people like you and me decide to change it. One truth at a time. One voice at a time. One act of courage at a time. Maya smiled. My mother taught me that being a hero isn't about what you look like or where you come from. It's about what you do when everything is hard. When everyone says you can't. When the whole world wants you to quit. She held up the Presidential Citizens Medal hanging around her neck. This medal isn't mine. It belongs to everyone who ever stood up for truth. Everyone who ever fought back against corruption. Everyone who ever refused to be silenced. She took the medal off and held it high. This is our medal, our moment, our future. The applause started slowly, then built to a thundering wave. Maya stood in the center of it all, surrounded by the people she loved, holding the symbol of everything she had fought for. And in that moment, she knew with absolute certainty that everything she had endured had been worth it. Because truth is worth fighting for. Justice is worth suffering for. And courage, real courage, changes everything. 3 weeks ago, Maya Thompson was a girl nobody believed. Today, she was a symbol of hope for an entire nation. And tomorrow, she would continue the work, building, fighting, speaking truth. Because heroes don't rest when the battle is won. They prepare for the next one. And Maya Thompson was just getting started. Courage has no color, truth has no limits, and one voice raised in defiance of injustice can shake the foundations of the world. Maya Thompson proved that, and no one would ever forget it.